celebrating 70 years of serving you. This is Iowa's News Now at 5.
RAGBRAI arrives in the corridor. This is video from today's ride in Iowa County. Coming up, we'll take you out live to Coralville, where thousands brace the heat and are now hoping to dodge the storm threat tonight. And those storm threats are exactly why we're turning it over to Weather First meteorologist Nick Stewart with details that just came in about an issued severe thunderstorm watch.
Yeah, we've been talking about that potential for severe weather here for the last couple of days, and slowly but surely the confidence continues to increase that we will be dealing with storms tonight. Here it is, that severe thunderstorm watch. We are waiting for northeast Iowa to fill in. They officially haven't filled in the counties yet, but I can tell you, there it is. All of northeast Iowa will be under that severe thunderstorm watch until midnight tonight. We're watching storms developing off to our northwest. In north central Iowa, that'll be our severe weather threat as we go throughout your evening. A live view on the south side of Cedar Rapids, looking north, you can see bright sunshine in place. Not a good thing. That's building in the heat, and of course you can feel the humidity. 96, the current temperature. The dew point is 76. The current heat index is 109. We are dealing with a tremendous amount of instability in the atmosphere. Levels around 4,000 to 5,000 CAPE. That's a measurement of the instability. That is very high end even for this time of year. For now, we have just some cloud cover in northeast Iowa, but we're closely watching this storm forming just north of Alexander, Iowa, just west of I-35. That is likely going to be the beginning of a prolonged and pretty high-end wind threat in eastern Iowa. We will continue to watch the severe weather threat as we go throughout the evening here on Iowa's News Now.
Thank you, Nick. And now to Coralville, where thousands of RAGBRAI riders have arrived and are taking it all in, and they're trying to see everything the city has to offer. Riders braved the heat and humidity again today. They're now settling in for the night, filled with good food and entertainment. But all eyes will be on the skies, as the threat of thunderstorms could stop events and impact those camping out for the night. Organizers say plans are in place if the weather takes a turn for the worse. Coralville's fire chief says they have plenty of nearby shelters, including city and school buildings, as well as the rec center inside St. Morrison Park.
It's just humid compared to Arizona, but it's beautiful. Lots of green. It's lovely.
Everyone is hoping the rain will hold off, because just after 8 tonight, the 90s power band Bush will take the main stage. And now to Cedar Rapids, where leaders held a ribbon cutting at Lindale Mall to celebrate the shopping center's new owners. Cohen Retail is now in control. They say Lindale is thriving and that it's managed to adjust its format to offer more outdoor storefronts and new options. Local operators say the new owners have been great to work with.
Everything so far has been going great. They've been easy to work with, have a lot of great ideas and initiatives that they'd like us to do in the mall. So we're excited about that. The Economic Alliance and I sat down, we brainstormed, we thought this would be a good idea just to get our name out there again.
The new owners say they are still evaluating their future plans for Lindale Mall. Some of the challenges they face is the old Hy-Vee building on the east side of the property. And this afternoon, Vice President Kamala Harris arrived in Des Moines before heading over to Drake University. The Vice President is traveling to states that have passed near total abortion bans to speak out against the Republican-led effort. She says bans like this, in her opinion, is playing politics with people's lives.
As I travel the country, it becomes clear to me that so many people in these state legislatures don't even know how women's bodies work. That has really broken through. In that, most women will not even know they are pregnant at 6 weeks. Yeah. So it is in effect an outright ban.
The vice president says lawmakers need to address the nation's high rate of infant mortality, which is higher in the U.S. than any other advanced nation. Meantime, President Biden has approved an overhaul to the country's Uniform Code of Military Justice. The executive order strips the authority of commanders in cases involving sexual assault, rape, and murder. This way, prosecutions can be independent of the chain of command. This comes after activists and victims argued their cases were being swept under the rug. Top military leaders opposed the changes at first, but the defense secretary endorsed them in 2021. And there's a recall alert we want to tell you about. More than 870,000 Ford F-150 pickup trucks are being recalled because of a problem with their electric parking brake. The company says a wiring problem could randomly turn on the parking brakes unexpectedly, potentially causing a crash. The recall affects the 2021 through 2023 models with a single exhaust system. Drivers can take their trucks to a dealership to get fixed. Ford says they are not aware of any crashes or injuries caused as a result of the crash. And Elon Musk, the owner of X, formerly known as Twitter, is under fire again, this time for reinstating the right-wing account that tweeted an image of child abuse. Musk responded in a tweet after some followers complained of the suspension, saying the images would be deleted. The account claimed that the suspension was for political reasons and says the image was posted to bring light on the problem of sex trafficking. In a lot of cases, the company policy is to ban accounts for these actions, but temporary suspensions happen when Twitter cannot identify malicious intent.
Government seizing fancy cars, jewelry, and bank accounts. I'm Atrel Nashar with the latest efforts to catch the people who scammed COVID relief programs.
We're connected to Iowa's News Now at 5, connecting you to the news stories and events that affect you, plus your accurate weather first forecast, on air, online, on every screen. We are Iowa's News Now.
Iowa's News Now 7-day forecast is sponsored by Dan Sherman Enterprises.
Federal officials looking into COVID relief fraud say they have years of work ahead of them. Just this week, more than a dozen people in separate cases have either been convicted or sentenced for pandemic fraud schemes. Iowa's News Now national correspondent Atrel Nashar has the latest on the crackdown.
From candidate to convict.
And we're here with Kelly Prather. Thanks so much for joining us.
Kelly Prather of Cincinnati, who's run for local office multiple times, found guilty by a federal court this week of trying to fraudulently obtain more than $1 million in pandemic aid, obtaining loans for 6 businesses she claimed to own. 2 states over in Illinois, a report out this week by the state auditor general paints a picture of chaos. Systems crashing from an overload of claims and not enough staff to process those claims or even answer the phones. Making way for what ended up being more than $5 billion in overpayments between fiscal years 2020 and 2022. Those overpayments include identity theft, fraud, and non-fraud cases. $6 million went to 481 deceased individuals, and more than $40 million went to people who were incarcerated. The report says timely payment of benefits and preventing fraud are competing concepts, and points out these problems are not unique to Illinois.
It was a completely false narrative at the start that there was no choice but to get the money out immediately.
Inspector General Michael Horowitz chairs the federal government's Pandemic Response Accountability Office and says if even just a week or 2 were taken to do some basic checks, a lot of this fraud could have been prevented.
For example, for the PPP program, $400 billion of the $800 billion went out in 2 weeks.
Identifying fraud is one thing, getting the money back is another. Usually by the time authorities get there, it's already been spent.
We are seizing fancy cars, we're seizing jewelry, we're seizing properties.
Horowitz tells me it's clear well over $100 billion in COVID aid was fraudulently obtained. And as they continue to investigate, he expects to have a more accurate number in the next year or 2. An analysis by the Associated Press deems that figure to be about $280 billion. In Washington, I'm Atrel Nashar for the National Desk, America's News Now.
The Eastern Iowa Health Center is holding another free COVID-19 vaccine clinic tomorrow from 9 to 1. The center partnered with Neighborhood Transportation Service to offer free transportation to and from the clinic. The goal is to increase vaccination rates and protect the community against the virus.
And again, a severe thunderstorm watch has recently been issued, including much of the state of Iowa. This until midnight tonight. We're talking about the likelihood of wind gusts approaching 80 miles per hour and golf balls sized hail. We'll talk about the severe weather threat and talk more about the impacts to all the events in the area, including Ragbri down in Coralville, coming up after the break.
Iowa's News Now, celebrating 70 years of Iowa's news.
I'm saving
Watch Iowa native Nick Weig weekends at 6 and 10. All screens, all the time, always choose Iowa's News Now.
Special counsel Jack Smith is adding new charges against former President Trump. 2 criminal investigations could possibly lead to state and federal charges. The former president and 2 staffers face charges of conspiracy to obstruct justice. The updated indictment accuses the former president of ordering the staffers to move classified documents so the FBI won't find them. One of those documents called for the Pentagon to attack Iran if need be. That's the same classified document Trump was caught on tape showing to biographers. In the recording, Trump is heard saying the document is top secret and he can't declassify it. The former president denies any wrongdoing. And tonight, the former president and several Republican candidates are set to speak at the Lincoln Dinner in Des Moines. There's been a lot of recent campaign stops here in Iowa lately. Ed O'Keefe is in Des Moines with an update on the race.
Former President Donald Trump's double-digit lead isn't stopping his 2 closest opponents.
I believe America can do for anyone what she's done for me.
We're not getting a mulligan on 2024.
Florida Republican Governor Ron DeSantis and South Carolina Senator Tim Scott know Trump's legal woes hang over the race, but neither directly attacks him. What should Republican caucus goers here in Iowa, Republican primary voters across the country make of what's going on?
What we all should be very concerned about is the weaponization of the Department of Justice. We should be very careful on how we use immense power against political opponents.
At the end of the day, the election's got to be about the future.
Among Iowa Republicans, polls show DeSantis holding in second place, with Scott now in third. But DeSantis had to trim back his campaign staff this week and is going for smaller or direct outreach to caucus goers who demand direct face time. It comes as he faces backlash for Florida's new Black History curriculum standards. The new guidelines say Florida middle schoolers should be taught about the harsh conditions enslaved people endured and about how slaves developed skills which, in some instances, could be applied for their personal benefit. For the first time, Scott, the only black Republican senator, weighed in.
What slavery was really about separating families, about mutilating humans, and even raping their wives. It was devastating. So I would hope that every person in our country, and certainly running for president, would appreciate that.
Vice President Harris and Trump supporter Florida Republican Congressman Byron Donalds have also criticized the standards. In an interview with CBS News Thursday, DeSantis responded to the VP's criticisms.
We had really serious scholars, African American, many of them, put out a huge compendium about all these things, and she tried to demagogue it, saying somehow that was like justifying slavery, which was totally the opposite.
Most of the Republican presidential field, including the frontrunner Donald Trump, is set to be here in Iowa later today for the largest gathering to date of the GOP presidential contenders. But also in Iowa today, Vice President Harris. The White House is sending her to put focus on what they call Iowa's, quote, extreme abortion ban. Ed O'Keefe, CBS News, Des Moines.
And several candidates were in eastern Iowa today taking part in a presidential forum at Coe College in Cedar Rapids. Right to Start hosted the forum focused on entrepreneurship. Larry Elder, Asa Hutchinson, Perry Johnson, and Francis Suarez all took part. Afterwards, Suarez, who is the mayor of Miami, says he's the candidate who can attract new voters to the Republican Party.
I think I'm the only Hispanic candidate in the field. That's 20% of this country. The last 2 presidential elections have been decided by less than 100,000 votes. So I think attracting new voters to the party is incredibly important, whether they be young voters that we lost to President Biden by 26%, whether it be Hispanics.
Because you can fail. And I thought there needed to be a
recent bipartisan survey of American voters conducted for Right to Start showed overwhelming bipartisan support for entrepreneurship, yet government policies do not often reflect that support.
And right now we are closely watching the threat for severe weather here in eastern Iowa. Live view from Coralville. We got a lot of visitors to eastern Iowa closely watching the weather. For now, it's bright sunshine. It's hot and humid. That's a sign of things to come. It's building the instability this afternoon. 97 degrees right now is the current temperature. It feels like 109. That dew point is 75 degrees. That's a lot of heat and humidity in place for storms this evening. Here's a look right now at that severe thunderstorm watch currently in effect. This entire kind of pink magenta shaded area that is until midnight tonight. That does include Decorah up to Waterloo, Dubuque, Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, Coralville, over towards Williamsburg, Vinton, Tama. This entire area will be under the threat for severe weather for the next several hours, and this may need to be expanded eastward and southeastward, just depending how storms organize as we go throughout the night. Again, going back to the heat and humidity today, that is building a tremendous amount of instability across the state of Iowa. We are seeing CAPE values. That's a measurement of the convective available potential energy, the fuel for storms. Anytime you see numbers approach 5,000, that is considered extreme. We're well into that territory for much of the state of Iowa. Again, the fuel for very rapid thunderstorm development as we go through the next several hours. For the time being, we have one storm that we're closely watching just south of Mason City. Here in eastern Iowa, a few attempts, nothing very organized yet. So we'll jump into this activity forming here in north central Iowa. This will likely be the main threat going forward. Right now, it's kind of a supercellular thunderstorm sitting right just along and west of I-35, southwest of Mason City. It will be approaching areas like Charles City down to Allison, Parkersburg, as this storm slowly drifts eastward and then eventually southeastward, the beginning of our severe weather event as we go throughout your afternoon. You're looking at the current lightning strikes within the last 15 minutes. 60 lightning strikes with this storm. And you'll also notice some of these lightning strikes shooting way out ahead of the rain. The other threat tonight ahead or on top of the damaging wind and hail threat will be lightning. If thunder roars, go indoors because lightning can be very dangerous. Here's a live view right now up in Waterloo. You can see the sun is shining there. The storms will be approaching this area likely within about the next maybe 1 to 3 hours, depending how things shape up. 96 that current temperature. That dew point also at 76, so very high-end energy for storms. We are under that level 3 risk, an enhanced risk for severe weather. Main hazards going forward, damaging wind gusts approaching 80 miles per hour. Hail maybe larger than golf balls. Heavy rainfall, also a bit of a concern. We're going to see some torrential rainfall with an initial blast. However, things will likely be moving pretty good, so flash flooding, not a big concern. We're going to look at predictor after 11 o'clock tonight because the model's not handling things very well. But I do think that by 11, most of the thunderstorm activity will be east of the area. So that's the good news. We'll have a few passing storms as we go throughout the overnight, but the severe threat should be over by about 11 o'clock to midnight. Early tomorrow morning, we got abundant sunshine in place. That will continue as we go throughout your afternoon. North winds tomorrow actually bringing in some lower humidity values. Not a bad day here in eastern Iowa. Your forecast, warmer, back in the upper 80s, but we do escape the 90s tomorrow and the humidity a bit more tolerable as well. Those upper 80s will come with abundant sunshine going forward as well. So not too bad. If you are making that RAGBRAI trip from Coralville tonight over towards the Quad Cities, temperatures will be back in the upper 80s, mostly sunny and warm, north winds around 5 to 10 miles per hour overall. Not too bad given what you've had to experience already earlier this week. 7-day forecast. We got mid to upper 80s throughout the weekend, but we're dry and lower humidity. Mid 80s on Monday, mainly sunny, and then up we go once again. Temperatures back near 90 for the middle part of the week next week. The best chance for rain after tonight, likely around the Wednesday, Thursday time frame next week.
And you can download our free weather app to keep track of the weather as it rolls in. We can get you better coverage than the app that's already pre-installed on your phone. Just head over to your favorite app store and type in Iowa's News Now WX. And Iowa's News Now and our parent company Sinclair Broadcast Group are teaming up with the National Diaper Bank Network for a summer diaper drive. You can donate right now at sinclaircares.com. Scan the QR code on your screen for a direct link. Sinclair is donating $25,000 to the drive. There's also a link at Iowa's News Now if you'd like to contribute yourself. The drive runs through August 6th. And you're taking a live look at the RAGBRAI festivities tonight in Coralville, but they also have to watch out for the severe weather that can come. Weather First meteorologist Nick Stewart has a last look at tonight's forecast when Iowa's News Now returns.
Iowa's leaders accountable. Skylar Talal on Iowa's News Now. Discover. Share your views, your stories, simplified. Check out what's really happening in eastern Iowa with the Iowa's News Now app.
And once again, we are tracking that severe thunderstorm watch until midnight tonight. The main hazards will be wind gusts approaching 70 to 80 miles per hour, hail potentially larger than golf balls, and much of the area will be under that threat. We could see an expansion of these watches east and southeast through the night. For now, we're watching a few storms trying to pop off in northern portions of Iowa, including this brand new severe thunderstorm warning issued just southwest of Mason City. Currently warned for 60-mile-per-hour winds as well as half-dollar-sized hail. That's 1.5-inch hail. These storms will likely continue to grow what we call upscale into a big old line headed towards the Waterloo and Cedar Rapids areas as we go through the next several hours. Now, as we head towards tomorrow, the storm threat's well over. Behind the storms, temperatures a bit cooler, back in the upper 80s, mainly sunny and warm. The good news, too, lower humidity. So not perfect weather tomorrow, but definitely
better than the last couple of days.
A lot better than what we've had so far this week. Some relief is in sight.
That's good news. And if you're out tonight, please be safe and definitely take this serious, especially with that size hail. That's a scary thought.
The storms will come on you pretty quick.
Exactly. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you back at 6.
U.S. Cellular's network is built for Iowans.
Just by switching.
And
let me put a reminder on my phone. On the top of the pile. Only pay for...
Good evening, everybody. I'm Iowa's News Now with the first meteorologist, Nick Stewart. Our first severe thunderstorm warning of the day has been issued here for eastern Iowa. Brand new severe thunderstorm warning for Black Hawk and Bremer counties. This until 7 o'clock this evening. We're talking about the potential of 60-mile-per-hour wind gust as well as quarter-sized hail. This storm is slowly moving off to the east and southeast at about 15 miles per hour. So if we put a quick track onto this storm and drag it east and southeastward, Artesian around 554, Niddle around 608, Reedland around 617, and Iran around 634. So that is that current severe thunderstorm warning that is currently in effect in our viewing area. Now, we are also closely watching storms ongoing just off to our west and northwest. We have this very powerful thunderstorm, including a tornado warning just west of our counties, Grundy and Butler. We're going to continue to watch this storm very closely. Bottom line, we have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect for most of the area until midnight tonight. We'll continue to keep an eye on the severe weather threat as we go through the rest of the evening. But for now, we'll send you back to normal programming and join us over on CBS 2 for news at 6 o'clock for full severe weather update.
Get weather warn alerts on all your devices. Stay ahead of the storm with Iowa's News Now Weather First.
That's tonight's CBS Evening News. We hope you'll join us Sunday for Face the Nation. Our guests include 2 Republican hopefuls in the 2024 race for the White House, Nikki Haley and Asa Hutchinson. For Nora O'Donnell, I'm Margaret Brennan. Have a good night, and we'll see you Sunday.
Celebrating 70 years of serving you. This is Iowa's News Now at 6.
Tonight, Coralville welcomes Ragbri riders on what might be the hottest day of this year's ride. We'll take you live there as well as look at the plan in place tonight in case severe weather happens. And speaking of severe weather, let's get things over to Weather First meteorologist Nick Stewart. Tornado warning just issued. You were talking baseball-sized hail. It's looking like a messy one.
Yeah, it's going to be a busy afternoon. Obviously, you can feel the heat. You can feel the humidity. That's the fuel for those storms. For the time being, we have a severe thunderstorm watch encompassing much of the state of Iowa. This until midnight tonight. The main concerns will be damaging wind gusts up to 80 miles per hour and hail potentially greater than golf ball size. In some spots, we've already seen reports over in Nebraska near baseball sized. A wide view at the radar and satellite view shows some storms starting to pop up here along and just north of Highway 20. We have one active severe thunderstorm warning in our area right now. This includes northern portions of Black Hawk County and the southern about 2/3 of Bremer County. This until 7:30 this evening. 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, quarter-sized hail, and there is some tornado threat with this storm as well, although no formal warning has been issued. This storm, as it moves off to the east and southeast around 50 miles per hour, will be near Niddle around 612, Reedland around 620, Fairbank, if it exits the warning, around 702. Of course, we're watching this large supercell. Currently has a confirmed tornado on the ground just north of Iowa Falls. That will be moving towards our area, Butler and Grundy County, within about the next maybe 30 minutes or so. We'll keep a very close eye on the severe weather threat as we go through the evening right here on Iowa's News Now.
And make sure you download our free weather app to keep track of the weather as it rolls in. We can get you better coverage than the app that's already pre-installed on your phone. Just head over to your favorite app store and type in Iowa's News Now, WX.
It's just humid compared to Arizona, but it's beautiful. Lots of green. It's lovely.
The 50th edition of RAGBRAI Ride began last Sunday and will wrap up tomorrow in Davenport. Their journey began way back in Sioux City. Tonight, riders are making their way into the city of Coralville. The weather did not make things easy for the bikers this week as they had to beat the heat.
I've still seen people getting beers at the first town, but you know, for me, it's, you know, stopping every 20 or so miles, drinking water, like rehydration stuff, pickle juice, and just trying not to push too hard after, I don't know, 10:30, 11 a.m.
And as temperatures reached near triple digits the past couple of days, Coralville is preparing for the riders to have plenty to eat and drink, as well as a place to shower. And we're taking you live to Coralville now, where thousands of RAGBRAI riders have arrived and are trying to take in all the city has to offer. Riders braved the heat and humidity again today. They're now settling in for a night of good food and entertainment, but all eyes will be on the skies as the threat of thunderstorms could stop events and impact those camping out for the night. Organizers say plans are in place if the weather takes a turn for the worse. Coralville's fire chief says they have plenty of nearby shelters, including city and school buildings, as well as the rec center at St. Morrison Park.
If there is a warning issued or the RAGBRAI Safety Committee decides that we would like them to shelter, maybe with lightning coming or hail or something like that, that doesn't warrant the storm sirens to be set off in the county, we can still issue that, and we'd have the law enforcement and the fire department with our lights on our vehicles drawing the people to the buildings.
And everyone is hoping the rain will hold off because just after 8 tonight, the 90s power band Bush will take the main stage. And in tonight's Vote 2024 coverage, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis making stops today in Iowa, meeting with small business leaders in Albia. DeSantis fighting off a lot of negative headlines after reports donors were beginning to hold back funds. His campaign also got in trouble for a social media post featuring a Nazi swastika. He comes under fire for a new education policy in Florida teaching how skills learned by slaves benefited them after they were freed. And several candidates were in eastern Iowa today taking part in a presidential forum at Coe College in Cedar Rapids. Right to Start hosted the forum focused on entrepreneurship. Larry Elder, Asa Hutchinson, Perry Johnson, and Francis Suarez all took part. Afterwards, Suarez, who was the mayor of Miami, says he's the candidate who could attract new voters to the Republican Party.
I think I'm the only Hispanic candidate in the field. That's 20% of this country. The last 2 presidential elections have been decided by less than 100,000 votes. So I think attracting new voters to the party is incredibly important, whether they be young voters that we lost to President Biden by 26%, whether it be Hispanics.
Because you can fail.
A recent bipartisan survey of American voters conducted for Right to Start revealing overwhelming bipartisan support for entrepreneurship, yet government policies don't often reflect the support. And tonight, 13 Republican candidates are set to speak at the Lincoln Dinner in Des Moines, including former President Donald Trump and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. The event got underway at 6 o'clock, and all the candidates will have 10 minutes to address the audience. We will have coverage tonight on Iowa's News Now at 9 and 10. And earlier today, former President Donald Trump said he would not end his 2024 campaign for president, even if he's convicted of all the charges he faces. The frontrunner of the Republican presidential nomination made comments a day after federal prosecutors announced more charges against him. Natalie Brand reports from Washington, D.C.
Former President Trump campaigns in Iowa Friday as he faces new charges in the classified documents case.
This is harassment. This is election interference.
A 60-page superseding indictment accuses Trump of conspiring to pressure a Mar-a-Lago employee to delete security camera footage that had been subpoenaed by investigators. The indictment also names a new defendant, Mar-a-Lago property manager Carlos de Oliveira. Prosecutors allege he told an IT employee, quote, the boss wanted the server deleted.
The cover-up is not only a crime in and of itself, it also shows that this was not an accident.
And the former president now faces an additional count of willful retention of national defense information. He's accused of showing an Iran war plan to visitors at his New Jersey golf club. The indictment notes Trump speaking during a 2021 interview with a writer and publisher. CBS News obtained a recording of that conversation.
It is like highly confidential, secret. This is secret information. Look at this.
The latest legal development comes as the former president waits for a possible indictment from a Washington, D.C. grand jury looking into Trump's actions following the 2020 presidential election and the January 6th Capitol attack. As the legal issues pile up, Trump remains the frontrunner for the 2024 Republican presidential nomination. Sources close to him tell CBS News his inner circle is confident about his chances, but also on edge. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
We're going to take things over to Weather First meteorologist Nick Stewart, who's got an update on severe weather that is coming through.
Yeah, thank you. We do have a new tornado warning, which is now officially moving into our area. This remains a confirmed tornado. It now clips far northwestern portions of Grundy County. This tornado warning continues until 6:45 this evening. Again, this is a confirmed tornado. This was last seen near the Iowa Falls area. Tornado warning includes southwestern portions of Butler County, northwest portions of Grundy County until 6:45. The other concern with this storm also will be quarter-sized hail. Again, this is a confirmed tornado threat. We actually have a photo, a great friend of mine and storm chaser Hunter. You got that tornado picture right there. You can see that big cone on the ground. This was just northeast of Iowa Falls at approximately 6 o'clock, so about 5 minutes ago. This was a view of that tornado. A big thank you to Hunter for allowing me to use that photo on air. But that is the reason that we're going to be going what we call continuous coverage or wall-to-wall because of a tornado warning. Again, that is the tornado that we're watching right there. Let's also touch on the other severe weather threat that we're watching. We do have an active severe thunderstorm warning in our area as well. This severe thunderstorm warning for Blackhawk and Bremer counties until 7 o'clock this evening. We're talking about 60-mile-per-hour wind gust as well as quarter-sized hail with this storm. We're watching that storm right there. This is that warning right now. Reedland, this storm will be on you pretty closely. If this storm has some tornadic potential as well, it's not out of the realm of possibility given what the other storms are doing. That tornado threat would be about Highway 63, but of course we're talking about quarter-sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds with the storm as well. Quickly looking here at the storm relative velocity view. We'll touch on the tornado warning here in a minute. You can see there is some spin here right here. This is just along and just east of Highway 63 and just along about Highway 3. So this intersection, there's a bit of spin here just north of Denver, just west of Reedland. So that's that severe thunderstorm warning. We could potentially see this upgraded to a tornado warning if that rotation continues to strengthen as well. Right now, it's not terribly strong. If we put kind of a bit of a query on there, you can see it's spinning at about 34 miles per hour. That's pretty strong, but not enough to warrant a tornado warning quite yet, but obviously we're watching it very closely. The other reason that we're on the air, of course, is the tornado warning. So we're going to look back right now, kind of broad view over eastern Iowa. You can see the storm threat for now confined along and just north of Highway 20. This does include our northwestern counties. So zooming in again on this tornado warning, where is our active biggest threat right now. This tornado warning does include far northwestern portions of Grundy County and just the smallest sliver of southwestern portions of Butler County. If you're in Parkersburg, no threat with the storm right now in terms of a tornado threat. You're going to get lightning, you're going to get heavy rainfall, you're going to get some gusty winds as well. But the tornado threat is tracking south of Parkersburg. You can see that brand new severe thunderstorm warning just issued as well. That is to encompass that wind and hail threat that is moving into Butler and Grundy counties as well. But again, that tornado threat right near the Iowa Falls area. We'll get a bit closer to the storm right here and take a look at the velocity view. Again, at last check, this was a confirmed tornado. Only about 5 minutes ago, we had a report of a tornado still on the ground, potentially doing damage. There were some damage reports that were coming in earlier when that storm was farther northwest towards Dow's. That's northwest of Iowa Falls. That rotation right about the Iowa Falls area right now, that's about where the spin is in the atmosphere. So that tornado warning continues, and if that rotation continues to hold together, that will be moving southeastward here over the next about 15-20 minutes. So that will be moving into our area pretty closely. Quickly looking, we'll kind of move the map a bit to focus in a little bit more on our area. That storm is moving off to the east and southeast at about 15 to 20 miles per hour. So putting a quick kind of timeline on things, the slowest I can get this down to 30 miles per hour. So we'll kind of do this. This is just a very preliminary kind of look at timing for the storm. Robertson out of our viewing area, 6:11, Ackley at 6:14, Steamboat Rock at 6:30, and Wellsburg, that's when it's really starting to move more into our area. Wellsburg around 6:31. So that's that threat right there. Again, you can kind of make out that area of rotation right there, just along and just east of Iowa Falls. We'll take a look right now at the radar view again, kind of get a better picture of the storm structure. You can kind of see probably the hook echo right here, now just leaving and exiting the Iowa Falls area. The area of interest really just crossed Highway 65. Likely right near Iowa Falls. So if that tornado was still on the ground, it was likely potentially producing some damage near Iowa Falls. But again, that pink shaded county, it's pink because it is a confirmed tornado threat. And that is moving off to the east and southeast. We had that photo from Hunter. We have another photo coming in from Willard Sharp. If we can take that right there, that's that tornado that is the reason for this tornado warning. You can see that tornado right there kind of inside of those wind turbines. So obviously we're looking at a confirmed tornado threat with this storm. The damaging wind and hail threat probably will ultimately be the biggest threat today. But right now, we are watching that tornado threat as well. That tornado was northwest of Iowa Falls earlier, but that circulation right now at about Iowa Falls. So in our viewing area, it'll be approaching again southwestern portions of Butler County and northwest portions of Grundy County here in the not so distant future. So Ackley just outside of our area, but that's kind of where that area is heading in right now. Looks like we have a new tornado warning. I'm guessing it's probably up by Reedland. I just broke something. Let me step off the stream real quick. There it is. Yes, that's what I expected. Okay, new tornado warning. So this is more in our area. We have a brand new tornado warning here. This is for Black Hawk and Bremer counties, far northern portions of Black Hawk County. So once again, to stress, Waterloo, you're fine. Your phones might be going off with a warning right now. You're not under that tornado threat right now. The tornado threat is well off to your north. Again, Reedland, it's coming your way pretty soon. The area circulation at last check just crossed Highway 63 and was approaching US 3. So that's what we're watching right now. We'll pop up the storm relative velocity view again to see the spin in that storm. And there it is. Continues to kind of ride right down Highway 3. So Reedland, you need to take your tornado precautions right now. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Make sure you stay away from windows, siding, exterior walls of your home. That'll be the best place to be. Safest place to be in the event of a tornado, of course, is a basement. If you don't have a basement, that's fine. The most interior room, a hallway, maybe a closet or a bathroom. Interior room will be the best place to go in the event of severe weather. You don't want to be in an exterior room. By that, I mean if you have a window that looks outside, you don't want to be in that room. Top floor of your house, obviously you don't want to be there as well. Vehicles, you want to escape those vehicles and definitely leave mobile homes. If you can seek a sturdier structure, that would be a good thing to do. So here is another tornado warning that we're watching right now. We have two active tornado warnings in our viewing area. Number one, this encompasses far southwestern Butler County and far northwestern portions of Grundy County. This until 6:45. Again, that is just barely clipping portions of our area. I'm going to do another quick reset. A lot of people might be getting alerted to the severe weather threat ongoing. Here's what we're dealing with. The active severe weather threat along and north of Highway 20 at this hour. So we have two active tornado warnings with this storm. Cedar Rapids, Iowa City for now. Things are quiet, it's hot and humid, but here comes that severe weather threat that is moving in our general direction. We do have another photo, I believe, as well of the severe weather threat. Look at that, guys. That is the reason that we're talking about tornado warnings today. That one from Johnny Raincloud. Love that name. You can see that tornado right there. That is, again, part of the reason why we're dealing with active tornado warnings in our area. This was with the storm that was far northwestern portions of Grundy County and southwestern Butler. That tornado warning, or that tornado, I should say, is with that warning. We have not had any confirmed reports with the other tornado warning in our area. But again, that just shows the potential is there. in the atmosphere. So let's take a look right now again at the radar view. We're going to go full screen here. You can kind of see that in our area, things are pretty quiet for Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, Vinton, but this is the area of concern. So I'm going to jump back up to this brand new tornado warning. Take a peek on it. Anytime we have multiple storms, we're going to be jumping back and forth to kind of keep everybody updated. Remember, we get new radar updates about every 2 minutes. So every time we get a new radar update, that storm has moved a few miles perhaps. So we want to keep everybody updated. You can see that tornado warning continues here far in northern portions of Blackhawk County. The majority of this warning here is going to be in Bremer County, just south of Chipola. This will be approaching Reedland pretty soon. Air circulation likely just north of Denver. Area in Denver, you probably have a pretty good view of what's going on with the storm, but you are oh so close to the warning. I would take your precautions just in case. The other concern with this storm will likely be large hail and damaging wind gusts. You can see that big pink core continues to kind of increase here. That's that indication of hail right there, right along or just north of Highway 3 near the Reedland area at this hour. We'll go ahead and take a look again at the spin in that storm to kind of see how things are spinning. It looks a little more disorganized from what it was earlier, but still enough to warrant the tornado warning. You can see the reds going away from the radar. This radar is up by La Crosse, Wisconsin. So the radar is going away here, going towards here. You got that spin right here. That's just east of Highway 63 and right along and maybe just north of Highway 3. So that's that severe weather threat that we're watching right now. Tornado warning there continues until 7 o'clock tonight. We're going to pop the radar view back on. You can kind of see the active severe weather threat that we're dealing with. I'm just going to pan this to get in a better frame here. I'm going to walk off screen to get some information from the National Weather Service to see if we have any new reports coming in. But again, we do have 2 active tornado warnings in our viewing area at this hour. Latest updates coming in from the National Weather Service. We did have that tornado report earlier by Iowa Falls. That was in Franklin County. That was around the 6 o'clock hour. We are also getting reports of ping pong ball sized hail in Franklin County. So that's with that tornado warning that's coming into Grundy and Butler County. We also had reports of a funnel cloud north of Denver. So that kind of makes my suspicions that storm was rotating more confirmed. And in fact, that funnel cloud report was at Highway 3 and US 63, which we called out on air not too long ago. So that really coincided quite well with the radar situation. We do have a video of the active severe weather threat in our area as well. This one from Miles, you can see that just a stunning tornado there. Hopefully this stays out in open fields away from homes, but that is just showing the potential of these storms as they move through eastern Iowa this evening. You can see that big tornado there. Again, this is with the tornado warning that's in Grundy and Butler County. So the other tornado warning in Blackhawk and Bremer, we have no confirmed reports of tornadoes yet. We did have a funnel cloud report, and the funnel cloud is the first stage of getting tornadoes. So doing a quick reset. Here we are again. It is currently 6:17. You're watching Iowa's News Now at 6 o'clock. We do have an active tornado warning in our viewing area. This would be approaching the Reedland area. This tornado warning continues until 7 o'clock. We're also worried about the threat of large hail and gusty winds. Looking at the spin in the atmosphere, what we call the velocity view, the storm relative velocity, basically how the raindrops are spinning in that storm. You can still see there is that indication here of spin right here, just west of Reedland that is approaching you pretty soon. It's riding down Highway 3. So Reedland, you really need to be in your tornado safe place right now because it's a dangerous thing. You can see we did have that funnel cloud report right there. That was just north of Highway 3, right near Highway 63. There's that funnel cloud report. That was at 6:05. And you can see currently in that tornado warning, about 3,600 people are in that warning. So we want to make sure that every single person in that warning is getting the information this afternoon. We're going to go back to, let me jump back here real quick. The radar view of things. Here's that active tornado warning that's also in our area. Thankfully, we've not had any other reports with this particular storm other than the funnel cloud report. And again, I don't want to discount the threat of large hail and gusty winds as well. We're going to zoom out a little bit, kind of show the area of storms as they're slowly making their way deeper and deeper into our area this afternoon. I do want to pop up real quick also the active warnings that we have. So all of this kind of pink shaded area, this is that severe thunderstorm warning. This continues until midnight today. So we'll kind of do a reset viewing area here. You can see Iowa City, Cedar Rapids, Vinton over towards Tama, down to Williamsburg, Waterloo, Delaware over to Manchester. We're up to Clayton and Alameda counties, Decorah, Charles City. You're all under that severe thunderstorm watch that will continue until midnight tonight. As these storms continue to progress, they'll continue to warrant that threat for severe weather, including our friends in Dubuque. And if needed, that watch may need to be expanded eastward more to include Jackson County, Cedar County, as well as Washington and Keokuk counties. We're watching that very closely. Let's go ahead and look at the radar view of things right now. How things look across our entire viewing area. We have another severe thunderstorm warning just across the Mississippi River in southwestern portions of Wisconsin. But we have 2 active tornado warnings in our area right now. So let's jump back to the Grundy County storm. We get an update and see how that storm is progressing right now. We'll zoom in on it here. Again, far northwestern portions of Grundy County and northwest portion of Grundy County, southwest portions of Butler County under that tornado warning. That's until 6:45 this evening. This was a confirmed tornado. We've been showing you pictures of the tornado. Obviously, this was a pretty photogenic tornado as well. Most of these reports right around the Iowa Falls area as that storm was moving into our viewing area. The tornado threat right now is getting ready to cross Highway 20. If you by any chance know people that may be traveling east and west on Highway 20, get them to stop probably by Highway 14, so that highway that goes down to Grundy Center or up to Parkersburg. Get them to stop there if they're going, say, west from the Waterloo area. If they're coming eastward, say from I-35, get them to stop here at US 65, the Iowa Falls exit. We want to try to avoid Highway 20 right now between Highway 65 and Highway 14. That's where not only the tornado threat will cross Highway 20, but also the large hail threat and damaging wind threat. So we're watching things pretty closely right now. We do have Nick Weig out in the road warrior this afternoon, kind of tracking the severe weather threat as well. Let's get a quick update on where he's at this afternoon. What are you seeing out there, Nick?
Yeah, that's right, Nick. We are just approaching the Waterloo area, about to head west onto Highway 20. Really taking a look at that supercell now just south of the Ackley area, just west of Wellsburg. This is the one where we have had that observed tornado. We've seen those pictures that you've been showing on air on Iowa's News Now. A very impressive supercell. Fortunately, so far, no word on any damage that we've heard from, but obviously a pretty potent cell. Now, we're still a little ways out, so we're not seeing a lot of definition in the clouds right now from our vantage point, but we do plan on coming up on that cell here within the next 20 minutes or so, and we will, of course, bring you the very latest on that tornado-warned storm right now in Hardin County and pushing into Grundy. Nick, back to you.
All right, thank you very much for that report. Again, he is approaching this storm right here. We do have 2 active tornado warnings in our area. We have this tornado warning, which will continue until 6:45. They have dropped the confirmation of the tornado tag, which means we haven't had any reports recently, but it has a history of producing tornadoes. And you may also notice the hail size is now 2 inches. That is bigger than golf balls. Golf balls, that's 1.75 inches in diameter. This is now 2 inches in diameter. So just another reason why you may not want to be traveling on Highway 20 here, because you're going to blow out your windshield with very large hail. This will be approaching our northwestern friends here in Grundy County pretty soon. Let's go ahead and put another track on this storm and kind of track how things are moving here. We'll kind of give you a better timeline of things. Let's say it's moving at about 30 miles per hour. We'll time out the core of the heavier hail and strong winds. We'll actually go all the way out to Grundy Center here. Let's see if I can do that. There we go. You can see Steamboat Rock, that's just outside of our area on 632. Wellsburg around 634. Holland around 651. Grundy Center around 658. So now is the time, as this severe weather approaches, to do a few things. If you have patio furniture out on a deck, out in your yard, maybe try and secure it, put it away in a shed or a garage. Make sure you're doing that though well before the storm actually approaches. You also want to make sure maybe moving cars inside of a garage if you have it to avoid the hail, or away from trees in case those trees or tree limbs come down onto your car. That's one thing that you can do. That's a good idea right now for our friends in Grundy County, because this storm really really has no reason to fizzle out or weaken anytime soon. In fact, it has a better chance of strengthening more than anything. So Holland, Grundy Center, Wellsburg. This area in the not so distant future, you will be dealing with this storm. Whether it's a severe thunderstorm warning or tornado warning, it really doesn't matter. Because either way, it's a high-end severe weather threat that we're going to be watching as it moves that way. Let's go ahead and take a look at our other active tornado warning right now, which is up in our northwestern portions of Blackhawk County. We'll go ahead and take a look at that storm right now. Thankfully, we haven't had any recent reports of tornadoes or funnel clouds with this storm, but here is that tornado warning, which continues for Blackhawk and Bremer County until 7 o'clock. You can see it's not moving very fast, only about 10 to 15 miles per hour. It's kind of drifting right now down Highway 3. The core of that storm is now east of US 63, so Reedland, again, it continues to approach your area at a very slow rate, but you're already likely dealing with a lot of lightning, very heavy rainfall. Soon the larger hail will begin to fall as well. Let's take a look at the spin of that storm to see what the rotation's looking like. Again, earlier we did have that funnel cloud report just north of Highway 3 at the US 63. Right now, the velocity view doesn't look as impressive, which is good news. We'll kind of switch to the Des Moines radar. See the reds going away, the greens coming towards. Bit of spin right here right now.
2 diabetes?
Discover the Ozempic Trizone.
Over on Fox 28, so we're now on CBS 2 and Fox 28. Quick update on what's happening right now. We have 2 active tornado warnings in our viewing area this afternoon and evening. This #1 tornado warning continues for Blackhawk and Bremer counties. That's until 7 o'clock this evening. We're talking about quarter-sized hail, the potential of a tornado. This storm has a history of producing funnel clouds earlier. That funnel cloud right near US 63 and Highway 3 just west of Reedland, and that air circulation as well as large hail is coming towards Reedland right now. If you're getting alerts, say in the Waterloo area, the tornado warning and severe thunderstorm warning right now is well off to your north. For now, we're watching more storms coming in from the west, but for now, our friends in Waterloo are fine. There's no active warnings in your area. That tornado warning is far, far northeastern portions of Blackhawk County and a good portion here of Bremer County. Again, that continues until 7 o'clock. Reedland, you really need to make sure you're in your safe place right now as that tornado potential is right on top of you. The good news is the radar velocity, the spin in the atmosphere doesn't look as pronounced there. So that's the very good news. The other problem, though, that we're dealing with will be large hail and strong wind gusts. Taking a look right now at the storm reports, we're getting a whole lot of reports right now. I haven't actually seen some of these. So we have this funnel cloud report near Reedland. Funnel cloud that's north of Denver. That was at 6:17. So only about 10 minutes ago, we had that report of a funnel cloud. We are getting some hail reports in this storm as well. 1.25 inch. That's just north of Reedland as well. So we're getting a lot of reports of this severe weather. This was the initial funnel cloud report that prompted the tornado warning. That was at US 3 or US 63 and Highway 3. That was at 6:05. So again, that's the threat that we're watching right now. Looks like we have a new severe thunderstorm warning. As expected, it now includes much of Grundy County. So the good news here is we've dropped the tornado warning for Grundy County. The bad news is you're still going to get some pretty high impact severe weather. Brand new severe thunderstorm warning for most of Grundy County. This also includes far northwestern portions of Tama County and far southwest portions of Blackhawk County. This is what we call a considerable threat, a pretty high-end severe weather threat here with this particular severe thunderstorm warning, because we're talking about hail 2 inches in diameter. For some perspective, golf balls is 1.75 inch hail. We're seeing hail at 2 inches, so bigger than golf balls falling with this storm. The other concern here will be wind gusts approaching 60 miles per hour. So this is diving now southeastward. So more of Grundy County under that threat. And if you are in portions of Tama County, be on the lookout because this storm is slowly heading your way. Let's go ahead and take a look at the velocity view. We'll kind of get a better idea of where the strongest winds are. It is wrapping right here as it kind of just south now of Highway 20. So the strongest winds right about Eldora. We'll be moving into Grundy County here within the next couple of minutes. So Grundy County, Grundy Center, start preparing for that severe weather threat because it's coming your way. We do have that severe thunderstorm watch. Ignore that 8 a.m. severe thunderstorm watch until midnight as we go through the evening. Things you want to deal with for severe weather. I don't even know why this graphic's popping up. Let's just clear that and go right back here, friends. Okay, so here we are with that tornado warning. We'll do a quick reset here. This is now the lone tornado warning in our viewing area. This tornado warning will continue until 7 o'clock. This is far northeastern portions of Blackhawk County and a good portion of Bremer County. That again until 7 o'clock. We're talking about quarter-sized hail. The other issue, that hail likely falling right now right about Reedland, probably just north of Highway 3. This storm has a history of producing funnel clouds. We had one funnel cloud report at 6:05, another one at 6:17. Thankfully, no confirmed tornadoes with this storm, but it does have a history of spinning pretty good. Looking at the spin in that storm, the velocity view, how those raindrops are moving in that storm, it's gotten pretty messy here. That signature of pretty strong rotation is no longer as evident, which is good news. Don't want to let your guard down completely. We are still dealing with that tornado threat here. But the good news is that spin, that very strong rotation, is kind of quieting down just a little bit here. Right now, though, it does appear to be pretty close to Reedland. Maybe a new area trying to develop here around US 63 right near Denver. Looking at the radar view, you can kind of see it looks like it may be trying to kind of hook again here. So we're watching this storm very closely. We're going to keep an eye on and see what the National Weather Service in La Crosse wants to do with this storm. But again, this storm has a history of producing funnel clouds as well as large hail. Going through some of the reports with this storm, again, this is all around the Reedland area and just north of Denver. We had that initial funnel cloud report that came in at 6:05. That's what prompted the tornado warning. That was right near Highway 3 and US 63. Again, that was at 6:05. But then we had another report of a funnel cloud that was near Reedland, kind of north of Denver. That was at 6:17. So a lot of reports of funnel clouds were coming in with this storm. The other concern, of course, is the hail with the storm. We had reports about 1.25 inch. That's about half dollar-sized hail with this activity. We do have meteorologist Kason Freggs with us this evening. Kason, what's it looking like outside, and what's the information you're kind of gathering right now?
Yeah, trying to check into National Weather Service chat here, and I don't know if you've seen it, but it looks like 3 miles to the north there of Denver, we actually have a report of baseball-sized hail. 2.75 inches. Lots of reports of hail going on for right now. Besides that, that's really just been the main things. That was one of the things, obviously, we were talking a little bit more about and was kind of expecting was some larger hail with this, especially earlier on, along with that wind threat that was going to be kind of the dominating traits. Obviously, we now have a tornado threat as well as we kind of watching these going forward. But those have been the real big things. But certainly baseball-sized hail is no joke. You don't see that all the time. And obviously, you need to be in shelter inside somewhere, making sure that you're giving yourself away from the windows, because those things, baseball's going through that with 60, 70 mile per hour winds. You know what can happen to windows, and that's not a good sign whatsoever. Of course, like Nick mentioned, we just have a couple of reports of the funnel clouds as well, but no real updates beyond that here so far.
And part of the reason that we're dealing with the tornado threat is the videos that we've been getting in. This video coming in from Miles, you can see that big tornado, very tall kind of needle tornado there. Thankfully, this appears to have stayed in more rural areas, although we did have some reports of damage northwest of Iowa Falls as it was approaching our area. Here's another photo. This coming in from Molly. You can see that big, tall tornado there. This is also just north of Iowa Falls. So we had a lot of reports around the Iowa Falls area. That's part of the reason why we're kind of issuing these tornado warnings, because clearly the environment is capable of producing these things this afternoon. This other photo coming in from Johnny, presumably near the Iowa Falls area as well, because that's where most of these tornadoes happened. Thankfully, we're not getting as frequent reports from that storm. The bad news, though, is that storm is now producing a lot of very large hail as it moves into Grundy County, as well as strong wind gusts. So let's go and look at the radar view again. Here's why we're still on the air. This tornado warning continues for Blackhawk and Bremer County until 7 o'clock this evening. Alongside the tornado threat is the large hail threat. Again, we did have the report of baseball-sized hail, so big concerns with this storm this evening. Again, that tornado warning continues until 7 o'clock. If we look at the velocity view again, we'll get a new update here. It just doesn't look as organized as it did earlier, which is a good thing. We don't want to see this thing continue, but it's also pretty far from the radar site. The radar here is in La Crosse, Wisconsin, well off to the north and east. So any area of rotation will be kind of near the Reedland area at this hour. We'll move it down to the Des Moines radar. Maybe a bit better. You can kind of see there's some indication of spin here now northeast of Denver, southwest of Reedland. So this is just south of Highway 3 and probably just east of US 63. Maybe a new area of circulation trying to kind of develop here. So that's part of the reason why the Weather Service is likely keeping that tornado warning active until 7. It's going to be pretty heavily rain wrapped. You can kind of make out the hook feature right here in the radar view. So there's definitely some type of hook appearance here on the radar view. But that area of circulation would be completely wrapped in rain. So this is one of those things where it's not going to look as pretty as some of those photos and videos earlier. You're not going to be able to see this tornado. You're just going to put yourself in a bad situation if you try to go out and see it, because that circulation now is pretty wrapped in rain. So that makes this thing even a little bit more dangerous, because you can no longer see that tornado coming at you. But what you can see is likely a very big wall of water. Torrential rain is falling with the storm right now with gusty winds. And again, we also have that large hail threat north of Reedland as well. Let's go ahead and do a quick reset of everything. For all of our viewers that are popping in here and there, I know we're on your normally scheduled programming. I'm not even sure what's on right now, but I apologize for breaking into something you want to watch. We are bringing in that severe weather information as we get it. We do have an active tornado warning right now, but if you're in Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, we're sitting okay right now. There's nothing actively something that we have to worry about. But look at how this storm in Grundy County kind of draw a line from the edge of the polygon. That will inevitably likely be approaching Cedar Rapids, and the far left edge of that draw a line will be approaching Johnson County, Iowa County. So we have a lot of friends right now in Coralville for RAGBRAI. They're all camping out, a lot of people in tents. Make sure if you know people that are out in RAGBRAI, they should already be aware. Johnson County Emergency Management has been phenomenal in keeping everybody updated on the severe weather threat, but make sure they're aware of what's coming, because this event is slowly making its way down that area. We're going to quickly draw a quick little squall here to kind of get a very rough estimate. If this storm continues to maintain strength, and if this storm continues to move off to about, let's say, the east-southeast, I want to stress this is very preliminary. This is just for kind of a heads up of how things may evolve. If this storm continues to maintain strength, Traer around 7:14, Tama around 7:51, Belle Plaine around 8:17, Cedar Rapids around the 8:30 hour, so that's about 2 hours from now. Iowa City around 9:30, West Liberty, that's around 9:55. So that's assuming the storm doesn't pick up speed and also lose strength. So we're going to have to watch that very closely over the next several hours. So for now, Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, you're looking okay. But again, we're on the air because we have that active tornado warning here in portions of Blackhawk County. That's far, far northeastern Blackhawk County. The majority of that warning is actually for Bremer County here. This is a quarter-sized hail, if not larger. Strong wind gust as well. Again, that tornado warning continues. I would say that air circulation probably just southwest of Reedland now, maybe just around the Denver area. So if you're in Denver or Reedland, make sure you're taking your tornado precautions right now. We do have Nick Weig out in the road board this evening, keeping an eye on the severe weather threat. He's out there kind of heading towards these storms at this hour. Nick, where are you and what can you tell us right now?
Well, Nick, we're just approaching the dike area, or a near dike on Highway 20. We're just getting our first look at a little bit of lightning that's being produced by this supercell. Our plan right now is to continue on Highway 20 and then to head south towards Grundy Center to stay on the southern side of this. Clearly, there is a pretty impressive hail core within these storms. What you're seeing on the screen right now is the leading edge of this cell, and we are planning on staying on this side of it. And we'll be heading southward towards Grundy Center to see what comes of these winds. Still some pretty strong wind gusts, at least according to the radar from what we're seeing, Nick. Fortunately, though, have not seen much in the way of damage. Hopefully that's a trend that continues. But we'll continue tracking this as it moves further south and east into eastern Iowa. And for now, Nick, we'll send it back to you.
Thank you very much, Nick Wyatt. Again, we are watching that severe weather threat. This is just likely the beginning of a pretty long evening of active severe weather. We do have that severe thunderstorm watch, which continues until midnight. That includes Cedar Rapids down to Iowa City, over towards Williamsburg, Vinton, Tama, Grundy Center, Waterloo, Manchester, Clayton County, Allen-McKee County, Decorah. So all of this area under that severe thunderstorm watch until 10 o'clock, or excuse me, midnight. That 10 o'clock is up in Minnesota. Our area, so Iowa's watch, is until midnight tonight. We do have that tornado warning, which continues here for far northeastern portion of Blackhawk County. The majority of that warning, though, is Bremer County. That continues until 7 o'clock this evening. The main threat here, again, a potential tornado. We had funnel clouds with this storm earlier in the evening. The other threat here is strong wind gusts, as well as maybe some large hail. We'll look at the velocity view again to see how the raindrops are spitting in the storm. Things have gotten pretty messy here. Let's jump down to the Des Moines radar. Maybe a bit of a better picture here just around and south of Reedland. It looks like the storm kind of did a bit of a reorganization. It kind of swung back south here. So right around and just south of Reedland, you're dealing with that potential tornadic circulation here. We have no indications a tornado is in progress at the moment. But again, we did have earlier funnel cloud reports. And the other issue now is that this air circulation is more wrapped in rain. So remember, this is kind of that spin right here just south of Reedland. If we pop the normal radar view back on, notice that's in a lot of the orange and red. That's some heavy rain, if not even some small hail, maybe wrapping around that circulation. So we're not going to see it. That might be part of the reason why we're not getting any new reports, just because it's really difficult to actually see how things are breaking up. I do want to point out, though, our friends in Waterloo, this storm is now coming at you. Right now, it is not severe warned, but you can kind of make out this bowing feature here. Likely some stronger winds are trying to get translated down to the ground here. I bet you there's some pretty gusty winds getting ready to cross Highway 63, approaching Waterloo. Well, let's actually take a live look in Waterloo and kind of see how things are looking that way. Look at the Waterloo metro area. Let's take a camera here on the north side of town. Let's see if it's looking in the right direction. Let's see if it's looking north. I don't believe it is. I believe, actually, this is looking north. You can kind of see the dark skies there just barely on the horizon. This is on the north side of Waterloo. For now, you can see things are fine. Traffic moving along just fine. No active severe weather in the Waterloo area, but you're going to start getting to that heavier rainfall here shortly. Just getting ready to move into Waterloo. The other concern that we have right now is the active severe thunderstorm warning. This continues for virtually all of Grundy County. That until you can see 7:15. We're talking about 60-mile-per-hour winds, but the other concern is very large hail. You can see there's likely a lot of very large hail falling just south of Highway 20 right now, just south of Wellsburg. Grundy Center, the worst of that hail, is kind of heading in your general direction. Holland as well. This will be approaching Highway 175 and Highway 14, that intersection. If you're living in that area or know people that may be living in that area, just be aware that the large hail threat is kind of coming. The worst of that hail may just swing just north of that intersection, which would put more of Grundy Center in play. But again, that is at what we call a considerable threat, a considerable severe thunderstorm warning because of the magnitude of the hail that may be falling with the storm. I do want to zoom out just a little bit to kind of try and get the full warning polygon in frame here. I want to go the other way. I want to zoom out, not zoom in. Again, this severe thunderstorm warning continues until 7:15. Virtually all of Grundy County. This does include Dike, Grundy Center, down to Conrad, Rhinebeck as well. Also in that severe thunderstorm warning. Northwestern Tama County also in that severe thunderstorm warning. So this is, again, a pretty strong storm as it moves in your general direction right now. Meteorologist Casey Frericks, are you seeing any reports coming in with either this storm or the storm up in Butler County?
Yeah, we have just some thunderstorm wind damage that we're kind of looking at. Obviously, just some smaller branches down there in Bremer County. That's a report that has come in as well. I'm just looking at some of the other things that we're seeing. That tornado warning that was over at sort of the Franklin-Butler County area. The National Weather Service said that they canceled that, so I know that the polygon is obviously still kind of showing up there at this time on the map. The one other thing I'm just going to try and throw on here real quick, Nick, and it's something besides sort of the hail and everything else that we've sort of seen out of all this is, oh, sorry, I'm messing you up there a little bit, is the prolific lightning with these. It's kind of crazy. Obviously, it's a big sign of the instability that is in the air, and that was one of the other big things that we were kind of worried about, how that could possibly match up in terms of the dangers with the hail as well as the wind threat out there. So there's a lot of lightning taking place in both these storms right now, so keep that in mind. Obviously getting inside, I know a lot of events kind of going on as we're kind of wrapping up this week, so make sure you're finding a sturdy shelter and getting out of that lightning, because that certainly can be another dangerous situation with those as well. But besides some wind damage, we have some more reports of hail, not at that baseball level, but certainly looking at 1 3/4 inches, 1.5 inches sort of coming in. So you're looking at kind of golf balls and that sort of range there as well. So definitely some dangerous storms that we're seeing. Good news is obviously when we've looked at some of the velocity scans here, the last couple of tracks, they have kind of come down, and we aren't seeing that sort of tight rotation that we really are watching when we're kind of looking for to see some of that spin that's taking place with these storms. So that's really good news, and it looks like that particular storm, we lost that tornado warning, so that's good news. We just have that severe thunderstorm warning that's warned for 60-mile-per-hour winds, as well as that 2-inch in diameter hail, and it'll go until 7 o'clock for Blackhawk and Bremer. So that's good news on that front, at least for us.
Let's real quickly look at some video that we're getting in. We don't exactly know where this video is from. We're trying to work on that still, but we do have video of the storm to give you an idea of what we're dealing with this afternoon. You can see a lot of tree limbs down in the street. You can see it there on the curb as well. So an indication of very strong winds. You can see the very heavy rain falling with that storm. The flag is blowing pretty good. Probably right here, wind gusts around maybe 50 miles per hour. So maybe this was just sub-severe, but there may have been winds even stronger than that, just given how the branches and things were down. So that is, again, the concern that we're looking at right now. So let's real quick, we will wrap up our coverage. Let's just real quick look at, we have that severe thunderstorm warning. This continues for Blackhawk and Bremer County. That until 7 o'clock, considerable threat. Again, we're talking about that threat of very large hail, 2 inches in diameter, so bigger than golf balls. That'll be approaching Reedland, Tripola. This will be continuing to move off to the east as well. Waterloo, you're likely going to start getting some thunderstorms and heavy rain moving in your area. You're not officially under a warning at the moment, but just know things can quickly go severe given the amount of instability in place. And of course, we have this other active severe thunderstorm warning here. This continues for most of Grundy County, as well as far northwestern portions of Tama County. That until 7:15. The main threat here also very large hail. So we're going to continue to keep an eye on the severe weather threat this evening here on Iowa's News Now. But for now, let's send you back to normal programming.
Get weather warn alerts on all your devices. Stay ahead of the storm with Iowa's News Now Weather First.
A force to be reckoned with.
It is a lot heavier than I thought it was.
Hey, good evening. I'm Iowa's News Now with the first meteorologist, Nick Stewart. We continue to track severe weather as it moves through eastern Iowa. A few brand new warnings to tell you about. We have this brand new severe thunderstorm warning. This is for Chickasaw, Fayette, and Winnebago County. That continues until 7:45. The main threat here will be large hail, potentially approaching the size of golf balls. This storm is starting to race off to the north and east, about 40 to 50 miles per hour. So St. Lucas around 7:19, Jackson Junction around 7:22, Fort Atkinson around 7:27, Calmer around 7:33, Nordness around 7:41. We have another severe thunderstorm warning. This one is particularly threatening. In fact, they just upped the wording here to a considerable threat. We're talking 70-mile-per-hour winds with this very strong thunderstorm now moving through Buchanan County and western portions of Delaware County. This includes the Independence area, Winthrop down to Quasqueton, Masonville, and over to Manchester. This storm again racing off to the east around maybe 40 to 50 miles per hour. Some areas impacted. Winthrop around 7:19. Backbone State Park, if you knew anybody that might be camping outside enjoying the weather today, even though it's pretty hot, you do want to make sure to let them know, make them aware of the severe weather threat that's on the way. Dundee around 7:28, Masonville around 7:30, Manchester at 7:41. So a pretty dangerous storm now racing down Highway 20. The strongest winds right now just north of Jessup, southwest of Hazleton. So this is the core of the really intense winds here. You can see that new radar update. It is now moving into Buchanan County. Jessup, you're probably experiencing some pretty intense winds right now. Hazleton, this will be coming in your direction as well. Independence, this will be very closely approaching you. So again, very strong winds with this storm. just west of Independence. In fact, I want to actually try and query this. Can't do that right now. But again, we're watching that storm threat as it comes in. So Independence, Winthrop, very intense winds are coming in your direction. We did have that severe thunderstorm warning earlier for Grundy and Tama County. That has been allowed to expire. That's the good news. But we are still tracking severe weather as we go throughout the evening. That was weird. Here's a live view right now over Cedar Rapids. We do have that storm coming in from the northwest. We have that severe thunderstorm watch in effect until midnight tonight. We'll keep you updated here on Iowa's News Now.
Get weather warn alerts on all your devices. Stay ahead of the storm with Iowa's News Now Weather First.
Paul's trying to get that way moving.
Provides up to 12 hours of protection to help you sleep.
Hey, good evening, everybody. I'm Iowa's News Now with the first meteorologist Nick Stewart with another severe weather update. I do want to update you on this severe thunderstorm warning, which continues for much of Buchanan County and western portions of Delaware County. This severe thunderstorm warning continues until 8:15. It is a considerable threat. We're talking about very strong wind gusts right now, likely moving into Independence. It's pretty much in Independence right now. Again, if you know people that may be camping at Backbone State Park, give them a call. Let them know that this severe weather threat will be on them, and we're talking about very strong winds. It'll be near Dundee around 7:28, Masonville around 7:30, Manchester at 7:41, Oneida at 7:46. You can see that really intense core of the wind right now moving into Independence. This is moving basically right along Highway 20. Travelers along Highway 20 will have some issues with this very strong wind right here. We'll kind of do a quick little sampling of the wind to kind of show you what we're talking about. Right in the darkest blues, radar indications of wind gusts approaching 86 miles per hour. So that's likely a little aloft, a little above the ground, but we're likely at least seeing 70 as it moves into the Independence area right now. We have another brand new severe thunderstorm warning here. Actually, two warnings. We'll start off with this one here in Tama County, if I can get that to trigger properly. There we go. Tama County. That severe thunderstorm warning will continue until 8:15. We're talking about 60-mile-per-hour winds, and this was actually an observed threat. So we know for a fact there are strong winds approaching the Tama County area with this line of storms right here. It'll be near Dysart around 7:32, Toledo around 8 o'clock, Tama at 8:06, Belle Plaine around 8:23. And it looks like we also have this brand new severe thunderstorm warning here in portions of northern Benton County. So actually I'm going to move over and slide this over here. We have this severe thunderstorm warning here for northern, about half of Benton County and northwestern portions of Cedar County. Of note here, if I can clear this guy, of note, it is a considerable threat with the winds approaching 70 miles per hour. So we're likely going to start hearing some sirens in the Cedar Rapids metro area, potentially because of that warning. Note it's because of wind, not tornadoes. Pretty strong wind gusts, though, will be moving into Vinton, down to Cedar Rapids as well. Let's go ahead and kind of time out this severe weather threat. Let's say it's moving at about 40 miles per hour. We'll take it off to the south and east. Move it towards Cedar Rapids as well. Cedar Rapids officially not in the warning yet, but just to give you a bit of a heads up, Walker on 7:33, Urbana on 7:40, Vinton at 7:45, Shellsburg at 8:01, 8:08 in Palo, Anamosa around 8:20, and the Cedar Rapids metro area around 8:23. That's if the storm continues to maintain strength and its forward speed as well. Finally, we have this new severe thunderstorm warning here for the Dubuque County area. You can see it flashing there. The core of the storm now moving into Dubuque. This will be also approaching the far northern portions of Jackson County in eastern Iowa. This is warned for 60-mile-per-hour wind gust and 1-inch hail. The downtown Dubuque area likely starting to see some pretty heavy rainfall getting ready to move in. A lot of boaters here on the water, so they need to get shelter immediately because in addition to the hail and the wind threat, we're talking about prolific lightning. Very dangerous storms are moving through eastern Iowa tonight. To recap, we have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect for most of the area until midnight tonight. Actually, it was just extended there. You just saw it live here in Iowa's News Now. That now includes the entire viewing area because of that extension of these storms moving southeastward. So Washington, Keokuk County, backwards there, but also Cedar County now under that severe thunderstorm watch until midnight tonight. We'll keep an eye on the severe weather threat here in Iowa's News Now, but for now, let's send you back to normal programming.
Get weather warn alerts on all your devices. Stay ahead of the storm with Iowa's News Now Weather First.
Morning. We're down to just 5.
Toyota trains certified technicians. Is that important?
Well, you wouldn't hire just anyone to help you.
Hey, good evening, everybody. I'm Iowa's News Now with the first meteorologist, Nick Stewart. A brand new severe weather update. We have a tornado warning which has just been issued for the southern portions of Dubuque County. This tornado warning will continue until 8:15, and then it moves into Jackson County, which is outside of our viewing area, but we're going to continue to follow that rotation as it moves through the southern portions here of Dubuque County. We have a report of a possible funnel right near the Dubuque airport. This was just minutes ago. We're also seeing that rotation in the spin kind of pick up as well. So let's go ahead right now and take a look at the velocity view. You can see how those raindrops are going to be spinning here. That rotation just south of the Dubuque airport now, right on Highway 61, that will be crossing the Dubuque and Jackson County line here momentarily. So if you're in southern Dubuque County, you want to make sure you are aware of that tornado warning because that is now in effect until 8:15. That's the one threat that we're watching tonight. Let's go ahead and zoom in real tight to give you some better idea of the areas that will be impacted by this storm. Again, the airport is right up here. It is south of Skyline Road. Haxby Lane. It'll be kind of approaching your area right now. Haxby Lane and US 61 is about the area where that air rotation will be crossing. And right here, this is that Dubuque and Jackson County line. So it's very close to the county line right now, but that is that air circulation that we have right now. And again, most recent reports is a potential funnel cloud with this storm. So it does mean some business there. Let's go ahead and reset wide because we're tracking a whole lot of severe weather in the area this evening. We got a whole line of strong storms moving through eastern Iowa, Lynn County, up to Delaware, Buchanan counties, Benton County, and Tama County, all under a severe thunderstorm warning right now as this strong line of storms continues to move east and southeast. So we're tracking multiple issues this evening. One of those, of course, is the tornado threat with that warning there in Dubuque County. We're also watching that severe weather threat as well. Real quick, let's go ahead and zoom in on this storm that's moving through Benton County into Lynn County. This is arguably probably the most concerning storm right now for most of the area. We have really high-end winds moving right now through the Vinton area, potentially approaching 70 miles per hour. This storm is moving off to the east and southeast, gently south of east at about 40 to 50 miles per hour. So this warning, it does include for the Vinton area over towards Garrison, Center Point, Shellsburg, Urbana's up here. Robbins is also going to be in the fringe of that warning, but inevitably this will be coming down towards Cedar Rapids as well. So need to watch this storm very closely. We'll go ahead and put a quick line on the storm. We'll say it's moving at about, if I can get that to work properly, it doesn't want to work for me. There we go. About 40 miles per hour is the storm right here. We'll draw this and we'll kind of time it out as it moves off to the south and east. So Walker, getting a lot of warnings popping up today, friends, if you couldn't tell. Having all sorts of issues here. Okay, Walker around 7:55, Center Point around 7:59. The Center Point Travel Plaza there around 8:01. You got the Casey's right there. You got the McDonald's right there. It'll be kind of in that area around 8:01. Palo around 8:08. Atkins around 8:11. Central City at 8:17. And if it continues to maintain strength, moving towards the Cedar Rapids area around 8:23. So that's the other threat that we're watching right now. We do have meteorologist Kason Frericks in-house this evening as well, keeping an eye on the severe weather. Are you seeing any reports coming in here in the last couple of minutes?
Not a whole lot, and obviously we're watching closely there at that tornado warning up there in Dubuque County. We have not seen any more reports besides that possible lowering taking place that might have been more of just a shelf cloud that we were looking at there. Obviously, lots of reports of gusty winds around 70 miles per hour with those severe thunderstorm warnings moving through portions. Obviously, Blackhawk, Buchanan counties that we're watching closely there. So we're obviously monitoring, trying to monitor all of these. A new report in here in Delaware County, down power lines actually in Manchester right now. Not a good sign with obviously the warm temperatures that still continue on here. Nick, you're still off that here. I might just pop on velocity real quick once again so folks can kind of see. So obviously kind of maybe broadening out a little bit more. Obviously, you're looking sort of in that area where the reds and greens come together. So that's not looking quite as impressive right now. But obviously, we're looking at just heavy wind gusts still kind of coming out of a lot of these storms for right now. So, but obviously, we do have that tornado warning, so make sure you're taking those precautions. You're getting inside, lowest floor of the building, as well as getting maybe into an interior room or closet if you don't have a basement. Always the best place to be. It protects you the most. And if you're in a mobile home or something, maybe try and get out of that. Go to a friend's or somebody who's got one of those site-built structures. But a lot going on certainly right now across the area.
Actually, do we have Nick Weig out in the road war? I'm kind of curious where he's at in the severe weather. Before we get there, again, just let me know when he's ready. Okay, we don't have access to talk to him right now, but let's at least split screen if we can kind of figure out, of course, where he's at too. But he's out in the severe weather event that we're tracking right now. He's obviously dealing with a lot of lightning right now. I think this is potentially Vinton, although I'm not 100% sure. I think that's Vinton. But you can see a lot of lightning with the storm. Torrential rain and strong wind gusts are occurring with the storm. In the Vinton area in Benton County, we're talking about strong wind gusts, potentially around 70 miles per hour. The other threat, of course, is that tornado threat here. So the strongest winds are now exiting portions of Dubuque County. I'm going to ask again if we can pull up the Skycam view. We do have our Skycam in Dubuque. We are watching the severe weather out that way. We had some very heavy rain moving through the Dubuque area as well. And you can see visibility is very low, frequent lightning happening with that storm as well. So a very dangerous storm moving through the Dubuque area this afternoon. The other issue, of course, with the strong wind gust as well as the heavy rainfall is going to be that frequent lightning. That is going to be a major concern this evening. So if you have outdoor plans, you know, people that are outdoors today, let them know that we're tracking all sorts of issues this afternoon due to the combination of very strong winds, large hail, torrential rain, and of course, lightning. So let's go ahead and do a quick reset here across the area. We're on the air because of a tornado warning there in Dubuque County. The bulk of that rotation now exiting Dubuque County, heading towards Jackson County, which is outside of our viewing area. We'll let our friends down in the Quad Cities take over for that tornado warning there. But the other threat that, of course, we're watching is a strong line of storms that continues to move through the central part of the area. Benton County in the thick of it right now. It is starting to move into northern portions of Lynn County as well. We'll go ahead and jump in here to take a look and see how the storm is evolving here over portions of Benton and inevitably moving into Lynn County. This is what we call a considerable threat. It's a strong wind threat here. Wind gust of 70 miles per hour. The Vinton area just took that pretty much head on. You can kind of see that bowing part of the storm, that backward sea. That is that indication of very strong wind gust, and this is now moving out of Benton County into northwestern portions of Lynn County. So a pretty strong threat with the storm. In addition to the winds, we're talking about hail size potentially up to quarters. So very large hail is the other concern with the storm with the very strong wind gust. We'll go ahead and take a look at what we call the base velocity view. We'll see how those raindrops are moving in the storm. It's a bit cluttered here, but what you can see are these really dark blues in there. That's indication of some very strong wind gusts. I'll try and sample some of this here. It might be kind of hard because some of it is kind of cluttered. You can see wind gusts on radar around 80 to 90 miles per hour. Now that's aloft, so that's likely not completely reaching down to the ground, but that does show that there's some potential here for some very strong winds as this moves through Benton County and into Lynn County. So we'll need to watch that very closely here. The strongest part of this storm right now is exiting Vinton, moving towards Shellsburg, over towards Urbana and Center Point, Robbins as well. I don't think it'll be too long before we extend this warning more into Cedar Rapids. And as a preliminary heads up, inevitably they'll probably issue this warning more. If they do, and it has that considerable tag of 70 mile per hour winds, you will hear the sirens. Keep that in mind. Meteorologist Casey Frericks, any updates or things coming in right now?
Yeah. Watching some of these storms, I just had a new thing kind of come in here. They have a destructive thunderstorm warning now for this will be Poweshiek County and Tama County, excuse me, as well. This has 90 mile per hour winds observed actually on this. Okay. So I was just kind of looking at that real quick here. So obviously we're talking more or less down here, and you can see it's just Tama is included in this this brand new sort of warning there. So obviously that's 90-mile-per-hour winds, destructive. Obviously your sirens are going off. That's incredible wind, and this was observed wind. So make sure you're obviously getting inside, because that's dangerous. That could be throwing obviously the hail with these storms as well, and that can knock out windows. That's going to cause likely a lot of damage, probably knock down trees and power lines with that as well. So just wanted to do a quick update. I know there's a lot else going on here.
Yeah, no, that's actually really important to know, because that's actually the reason that we will actually continue now with what we call wall-to-wall coverage, or continuous coverage, is now because of this destructive thunderstorm moving into Tama County. We're talking about winds of 90 miles per hour. That is pretty intense. You know, that's the equivalent of a weak tornado. So that is now moving from the Marshalltown area now into Tama County. So very high-end severe thunderstorm here moving into southern Tama County. This will include the Tama-Toledo area. So that is a big concern there. Let's go ahead and kind of zoom in a bit farther on this storm to kind of hit portions of Tama County. You can see Garwin here likely to be dealing with this really intense storm. LeGrand, another area that will be dealing with really strong winds. So between about Tama and the Poweshiek County line, get ready for very intense winds moving with this storm. We do have Nick Weig out in the road warrior. We do have comms with him as well. And I guessed right, he was in Vinton. Can you give us a quick update on what you experienced there in Benton County, Nick?
Well, Nick, we stopped in Vinton for a few moments as the strong winds came through. We're now making our way south of Vinton to try and get out ahead of the strongest winds and make our way back towards Cedar Rapids. Obviously under the gun there right now with some of the strongest winds. For now, no major damage to report in Vinton. Officially, there was a 50-mile-an-hour wind gust. We were seeing reports of a little bit higher than that, but no evidence of any major damage other than a few small limbs. But again, right now we're going to head south to Highway 30 to get out of, to avoid the core of these winds now approaching Interstate 380. And we're going to make our way back to Cedar Rapids and examine what these storms are doing as it gets darker. For now, we'll send it back to you at Broadcast Park, Nick.
All right, thank you very much. And as expected, we do have a brand new severe thunderstorm warning here. This now in effect for Lynn County, also all of Jones County and northern portions of Cedar County. This new severe thunderstorm warning will continue until 9 o'clock this evening. Again, notice the tag there, considerable. We're talking about wind gusts of 70 miles per hour. This will be enough to start triggering the sirens in Lynn County. So if you start hearing them, if you know people that may be hearing them, I know Stormy will be singing the sound of the sirens here at home momentarily. We're going to start seeing those sirens. And again, that's because of a wind threat as opposed to a tornado threat. So very strong winds will be moving into the Cedar Rapids metro area here pretty soon with this line of thunderstorms. If we take a look right now, what we call the base velocity view, we look and see how fast those raindrops are moving. And that is a very high-end wind signature here, exiting the Vinton area, now moving towards Cedar Rapids. So very strong winds are possible with this storm. Before I query some of these numbers, I know they're going to be probably pretty high. I want to stress this is aloft. It'll be a bit higher in the atmosphere, likely not quite reaching the ground, but there are likely some very strong wind gusts here. You can see on radar approaching 100 miles per hour. Down to the ground, we're probably seeing winds closer to 70 or 80 miles per hour. So that is one thing that we're going to be watching very closely here. And another note just on the tornado warning that we've been watching over here towards Dubuque County, that has exited Dubuque County. That circulation, you can see it there right now. That circulation has exited Dubuque County. That's why we're not touching on that anymore. Still strong winds, heavy rain in Dubuque County. The tornado threat is now into Jackson County. We are watching two pretty intense areas of wind right now. The first, of course, is approaching Cedar Rapids, and we have a live view of that storm right now as it moves in. You can see that big shelf cloud there. Power flashes there as well. Bottom left of your screen, you can see power flashes. That is the indication of the intensity of the storm that's about to be moving into the Cedar Rapids metro area. Very strong winds are about to move into the metro. So we're talking about winds potentially 70 to 80 miles per hour. We'll be moving to Cedar Rapids right now. Can we split that? That would be fantastic. If we can split that and put me in the small box with the radar, you can see the really strong dust getting kicked up as well. So a pretty strong storm is now going to be moving into Cedar Rapids. So now will be a good time to make sure you're staying inside. Powerful storm getting ready to move into the Cedar Rapids metro area any minute now. You can see the dust getting kicked up, power flashes as well. And again, the strongest winds are likely just now moving into western and northwestern portions of Lynn County, now exiting Benton County. So very strong winds are indicated here on that threat. Again, feel free to split screen whenever we get a second. We'll keep an eye on the sky cam because we have the live shot of things that are ongoing. But again, that's a live view. We're in northeast Cedar Rapids. We're looking off to the northwest. You had that big shelf cloud pass overhead. That's a leading edge of the storm. And now we had some power flashes. We saw those power flashes live on the air moments ago. That's an indication of power lines either snapping due to winds, potentially tree branches falling on those as well. So we're watching that very closely. The dust getting kicked up. To reiterate, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Lynn County, Jones County, and northern portions of Cedar County until 9 o'clock this evening. We're talking about wind gusts of 70 to 80 miles per hour. Right now it's only warned for 70. I wouldn't be surprised if we do see some gusts approach 80 miles per hour. So again, here's the split screen. You can see that's the view. Cedar Rapids from our tower. It's about 300 feet up. We're looking off the northwest. The strongest winds are going to be right here. Okay, we're going to be, just to give you some perspective how we are preparing for the severe weather, we're actually going to switch over to generator power just in case we lose power here in Cedar Rapids. That means we will be able to stay with you through the storm, even if we lose power. We were the only station back in 2020 after the duration to stay online and broadcast the information to you. It's because of the preparedness that we do ahead of time. So if you lose power at home, if your TV loses power, do know we will be live on Facebook. If we're not already, we'll be live on Facebook. Also our app, Iowa's News Now. Make sure to look that in the App Store. But again, you can see that strong indication here of wind gust now exiting Benton County. Again, I want to stress this is elevated, but we're talking wind gust of 100 miles per hour, a little bit above the ground. I can now hear the wind arriving to our studio. Very strong winds are now moving to the Cedar Rapids metro area. And there's the gust.
That camera was struggling there for a bit.
The lights are shaking here in the studio. Go ahead, Kason.
We've had reports of 70 mile per hour winds in Palo, obviously here in Lynn County, and we've seen reports as well as reduced visibility. If you're driving on Interstate 380 right now, heading north, it is going to be tough to see. You need to pull over and maybe get off somewhere if you can. Go to a bit
down due to power outages because we saw all those power flashes on the camera. This one here at I-3 and Blair's Ferry appears to be offline. Let's try and jump towards Marion. This is at Collins Road and First Avenue. The Cedar Rapids, you can see the very strong winds moving in the street lights there. This is probably winds of 70 to 80 miles per hour moving right now through the Cedar Rapids metro area. Very intense thunderstorm. And we might have lost that camera as well, just to show you the intensity of the storm that's moving through the area right now. So Cedar Rapids metro area, you are in the threat right now. Let's go ahead and zoom out a bit more. I want to reset the, for other people that are downstream, give you the warning, give the timing. Is this moving about 40, Casey, about 40 miles per hour, maybe faster?
I need to check real quick.
Okay.
That's what it is moving at right now.
Okay, I'll do 50 just to be safe. The leading edge here, this storm is driving east and southeast, so it's already in Cedar Rapids. The Eastern Iowa Airport within the next minute or two if it's not there already. Anamosa 826, Monticello at 831, Mechanicsville 836, Wyoming at 843, Clarence at 843. Also, we're talking Tipton to the Tipton Walmart area around 857. The winds are still getting stronger, I think, here. Casey, go ahead.
Yeah, and we do have, I'm not sure, I know people went to shelter here and everything. We do actually have our sky cam back up, and you can't see a thing on it whatsoever. I'm not sure, obviously, what's kind of going on in the back and everything here. We had a bump to internet, actually. But, yeah, you can see, look at the intense lightning there. The camera is just shaking around. We obviously lost internet for a bit, so we weren't getting any updates here now. And it looks like that severe thunderstorm warning, if I'm reading that right here, is going to be destructive now. That's going to cover portions of Cedar, Clinton, Jackson, Jones, and Lynn counties in Iowa. So we're expecting winds, obviously, with that destructive tag of 80-plus miles an hour likely. That's certainly the way the building shook here. The lights went out, and we were shaking. That's no surprise whatsoever. This is a very dangerous situation. You need to be indoors, away from windows. I would treat this like a tornado warning at this point. Interior room, bathroom, basement, if you can. These are just just destructive storms rolling through the Cedar Rapids metro area for right now, and you need to take shelter with the things that are going on. If you know anybody who is at any campgrounds in the area, you need to call them, let them know what is going on, because they need to find shelter. Any events taking place, they've probably already been warned. We've had the severe thunderstorm warning, but even as far south, I would say if you've got people at Ragbri and Coralville right now, the way this is kind of trending with the destructive tags going on these storms, call them, let them know what is going on right now, and tell them that they need to get to shelter because these storms are now at that destructive level.
All right, if you have any traffic cams, I know, Jacob, you're talking about traffic cameras, go ahead and take them. Let's just kind of see what things look like around the area. Again, we're still dealing with some internet issues from the power hit, but again, here's a live view downtown Cedar Rapids. You can see visibility is pretty low. Heavy rain is falling at this hour as well. Again, we had a very strong wind that moved through the Cedar Rapids metro area, and we do have the brand new severe thunderstorm warning. This is with the destructive tag. We can go ahead and you can take radar full again, guys. I'll walk over to the wall. We do have a new severe thunderstorm warning. This is an update on the previous one. You can kind of see it there for the Cedar Rapids metro. I'll let you frame it there. But that's the new warning there. It's flashing there. So Cedar Rapids, you are now in a destructive thunderstorm tag that's 80 miles per hour that will be moving towards Monticello. Anamosa, this will be moving towards the Mount Vernon area, heading down that way as well. So again, very intense winds. The leading edge is a really strong gust of wind in the leading edge. You can see that there, but then there's a very intense core of winds right here moving into the metro area. We can still hear it. Is this the most recent radar update? Are we getting radar updates? Can you?
I believe, yeah, let me go here and check.
I just want to make sure we're not looking at old data here.
Max 2 is a bit ahead. It does look like that.
Okay, so that works. Okay, so we're good. We just want to make sure we're not showing bad data here. Again, we have that very intense thunderstorm now. This new warning continues for the Cedar Rapids metro area over towards Anamosa, Monticello, all of Jones County, northern portions here of Cedar County. This will continue until 9:15. Destructive 80-mile-per-hour winds are currently occurring with this storm. I don't want to forget our friends farther off to the west. We have that destructive thunderstorm there over towards Tama County as well. I real quick want to zoom in here. This is that other storm that we're talking about, destructive winds of 90 miles per hour. That's now moving into Tama County. If you're in the Tama County area, you need to put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Again, treat this similar to a tornado warning just because the wind gusts are that intense. This is moving from Poweshiek County into Tama County right now. I do want to look and see some of the storm reports that we've been getting with this storm. I know are pretty high end. If we look at the info tab here, we got that wind report there. That was 93 miles per hour. That was in Albion. That's technically just outside of our area, but that's the storm that's moving into Tama County. Looks like we have some damage as well. Some very large trees down at the Spotter's Yard. That's also in Albion. So we had that very intense storm that's also moving into Tama County. So we got a lot of storms that we're tracking. One big line of thunderstorms this evening here in eastern Iowa. We're going to go ahead and go back to, let's jump to this new warning, I suppose. Brand new warning just coming in. Let's take a look and see where it is. Sometimes it takes a second here. So this is over more towards the Dubuque area. Also, you can see we're talking about a destructive thunderstorm that continues for Jackson County as well. Jonesville, we were aware of that, but you can see the Dubuque area is still dealing with that thunderstorm as well. So let's go ahead and look at this. We'll go back to the radar view. Kaysen, are you seeing any new reports coming in? I know a lot just happened there very quickly. Go right ahead.
Yeah, we got a couple more reports. Obviously, we're on that destructive storm there with that 90 mile per hour. A little bit out of our area, but near Marshalltown. Emergency managers reporting damage to homes as well as roofs there. If we slowly maybe work our way back to the Cedar Rapids metro area, obviously, as this storm moves on through, we have had a report of a 90 mile per hour gust in Hiawatha. High end, likely probably going to see some damaged trees, power lines. Obviously, we saw the power flashes on camera there as it rolled through the area. We've also just seen a lot of things with just zero visibility. So if you're traveling, I would say just north there on Interstate 380, man, you've got to probably just get off the road just the way this thing is moving, the intense rain. You can see here on the latest track, we're looking at like the Walmart there in Anamosa, going to be arriving within the next 5 minutes or so. Monticello about 8:26, Center Junction 8:28 there. in Otter Creek, maybe right around 8:41. So you got a little bit of time, but you need to treat these like they're pretty much tornado warnings with that destructive tag on it, in the basement, interior room or closet, away from any windows. Always a good idea to maybe have some, make sure you got shoes on, blanket or something to even cover yourself up. Because these are just dangerous winds that can throw debris around really anywhere.
All right, so we have another traffic camera here. This is further down to the south. This is more town towards the North Liberty area, I-380 Penn Street. If you're going north on or on I-380, friends, you need to stop. You need to stop at North Liberty. Do not go beyond the Iowa River. You're going to encounter some very intense winds the farther north that you go. So all those cars driving north, if we're by chance simulcasting on WMT radio, sometimes we do that during severe weather, please get off the road. All these cars driving northbound at I-380, they're about to encounter a very serious storm. If you know anybody that may be driving tonight from Iowa City up to Cedar Rapids, give them a call, give them a text, get them off the road because big problems are awaiting them. We can take the Skycam again. You can see we're still experiencing very strong winds. The winds have backed off a bit, but we're still likely talking about wind gusts approaching maybe 40, 50 miles per hour. Earlier, we easily likely had gusts around 90 miles per hour here at the studio in Northeast Cedar Rapids. The good news is there's a lot of lights there. So power, it likely took some hits in the area. We saw it right outside our studio, but at least we're not in total blackout in Lynn County, which is very good news. You can also see the other threat we're dealing with this evening. That's the very intense lightning. The lightning can be just as dangerous as anything else that's going on. Again, we had that 90-mile-per-hour wind gust in Hiawatha, not far from where we are here in the studio. So if you're just popping in, let's do a quick reset on the most destructive thunderstorm that we're talking about right now. I'm going to walk over back to the wall here, but we do have this severe thunderstorm warning, which continues. This is a destructive thunderstorm. 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts will be likely. This warning continues for Cedar County, northern Cedar County, as well as Jones and Lynn County. That until 9:15. Anamosa around 8:20, Monticello around 8:26, Center Junction 8:28, Lisbon and the Mount Vernon area around there around 8:36, Otter Creek 9:41, Mechanicsville 8:45, Otter Creek 8:41, excuse me, Pecocata around 8:55, Lost Nation, they'll be in your area around 9 o'clock. So now this will be paramount for all of our friends that are dealing with RAGBRAI. We do have a new severe thunderstorm warning, which has just been issued down south. Let's go ahead and pan this camera. We do have this brand new severe thunderstorm warning here. That is for Iowa County, virtually all of Johnson County here, as well as much of Cedar County. This is another considerable threat, a 70-mile-per-hour threat for severe weather moving through the area tonight. All of our friends at RAGBRAI, you need to take shelter now. You need to take shelter right now. Take the shot if you got it. Well, I'll keep talking. Here's I-380 at Swisher. This is the storm that's moving into your direction. We're looking south here, and what you can see there on the horizon, all that dust that's getting kicked up in the leading edge. Kason, if you can work with Coralville, if you can get our Coralville Skycam.
I do have our Cedar Rapids South one up, and it is intense right now as well. If we want to pull that, and I'll work on getting Coralville up here.
Yeah, so this is the Cedar Rapids Skycam. You can kind of see in the bottom right side of your screen, that might be actually covered up by the ticker, but there's flags down there that are blowing pretty intense. Very strong winds with the storm that are now moving into the eastern Iowa airport. The storm is kind of shaped kind of weird, where us in northern Cedar Rapids and downtown Cedar Rapids got hit very hard. It's just now the hardest of it moving towards the eastern Iowa airport. So you can kind of see that big shelf cloud, the very strong winds as well. All this traffic moving northbound to I-380, you really want to get off the interstate. You do not want to be driving into the storm. The worst of it right now approaching about Highway 30 and Wrights Brother Boulevard there by the airport exit. So that is that severe thunderstorm warning continues for Cedar Rapids. Again, we have this other brand new warning as well. So all of our friends in RAGBRAI down in Coralville, you need to be listening to emergency responders and officials. If you're listening to us right now on mobile, got to make sure you guys are taking shelter right now. Sturdy building, you got to leave tents. Vehicles might be okay with 70 miles per hour. Look at that shot. So this is what's coming into Coralville. We have thousands upon tens of thousands of people visiting in Coralville. This is the storm that's moving in there right now. Nice job, Kason, getting that shot set up. You can see that big shelf cloud on the way. That's the leading edge of very intense winds, likely approaching maybe 70 to 80 miles per hour. This will be moving into Johnson County towards Coralville, Iowa City, North Liberty right now. So this will be slowly moving down that way. That shelf cloud is right on the leading edge of that wind here. So let's go ahead and kind of give you guys a quick timeline of where this storm will be moving. Let's say it's moving at about 50 miles per hour. We'll draw it along the gust front here. We'll take it off to the south and east. So again, this is just kind of some rough timing for planning purposes. North Liberty around 8:23. Within the next couple of minutes, the worst of it will arrive. Coral Ridge Mall there in Coralville around 8:31. Iowa City at 8:38. Tipton at 8:40. Grand Mountain around 8:54. And DeWitt outside of our area around 8:59. So again, that severe thunderstorm warning continues until 9:15 here. Very intense winds are moving on in. Kaysen, any new reports coming on in?
And I'm not sure if you mentioned it because I was working on some other things, but actually that severe thunderstorm warning here, as I'll move us up, the one that is right over Cedar Rapids right now. Ooh, whoopsie, I gotta clear that up.
I see what you're talking about.
It's warned for 100 miles an hour now. So obviously that's, I'm gonna try and move us up. Yeah, this is warned right here, this warning for 100-mile-per-hour winds. That is obviously just very destructive. So you're just looking at towns that are going to be in the way of this soon. Obviously moving into Anamosa now, Wyoming, Oxford Junction, you're in this warning, Olin, Mechanicsville, Lisbon. You are in this warning for right now. 100-mile-per-hour winds are expected out of that. It looks like they might have just dropped it back down to 80, which is a little bit better news, but certainly still destructive storms moving across the area here. And it doesn't matter where you are. All of these severe thunderstorm warnings are warned for, 70 or 80-mile-per-hour winds as they are moving their way on through. So obviously that is just some real cause for concern. We have some video from Marion. I think if we have that there. Here's some of that video. You can see it looks like in an intersection there. Yeah, it's just really tough to see that rain is just falling sideways. Basically, got that semi has its hazards on. Tough to see here. That was what moved through a little bit earlier. So you can just see how difficult it is to obviously see then, and also the wind's just really, really blowing hard. So obviously we'll be watching that sort of gust front that's kind of out there in the middle or out there ahead of this storm. That's where a lot of those early destructive winds are going to be located. It looks like that is actually back up to 100 miles an hour now.
Yeah, there was a new warning that was issued that kind of underneath it. But yeah, the 100-mile-per-hour tag stands. So this is about as intense as it gets, friends. We went through the worst of it in Cedar Rapids. The worst of it is now exiting, but we still have large portions of our area that will be dealing with the brunt of powerful, powerful wind gusts. Again, the worst of that storm has now moved into Jones County, will be approaching Cedar County and northern Johnson County. So very intense winds here. I'm going to do this again. I'm going to do this many times. We're just going to kind of give you guys updates on timing just to give you some awareness. You can see the leading edge of that storm almost into Iowa City and Coralville right now. So Solon is pretty much on you right now. North Liberty around 8:26. If it's not already on you, it's probably there pretty soon. Coral Ridge Mall in Coralville around 8:32. I wouldn't wait that long. I think it's probably going to be there before then, at least the strong initial gusts of it. Tipton over in Cedar County around 8:41. Wheatland around 8:49. So this just shows you the intensity of this storm that's moving through the area right now. We're starting to see a lot of reports in the Cedar Rapids metro area of tree branches down, tree limbs down, power lines broken. So we definitely went through a very intense thunderstorm in the Cedar Rapids metro area, and that continues. I don't want to forget our friends downstream. This line of storms continues to bring the intensity as it moves on through. You're looking at a live view right now from the south side of Cedar Rapids. This is right by the airport. You can see the camera there shaking pretty good as well. The worst of that storm is still in the deeper part of the range. So there's an initial gust front of very strong winds, and the worst of the wind is actually a bit more behind it. So right now we have the latest report. This may go up, but the latest report is about 2,500 people without power right now in Linn County. I want to go through, if you guys can take radar full. I'm going to pop over to the wall again, friends. Again, this is the worst of the storm right now. It's likely moving just through Springville, Lisbon, Mount Vernon. Get ready. The worst of that storm is right here. This is the core of the maximum winds approaching 100 miles per hour. Anamosa, it's way too close to call. I would be in your safe place anyway. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. A basement's ideal, but if you don't have a basement, that's fine. Just upper level of your house, but as many walls between you and the outside, like an interior hallway, interior closet, interior bathroom. We want to make sure you're taking shelter from these severe thunderstorms. Morley coming your way as well. Mechanicsville, this will be coming in your direction as well. So very intense wind is continuing to move and barrel through southeastern and eastern portions of Lynn County. It will now be moving into southwestern portions of Jones County and northwest Cedar County. This is the strongest part of the storm. It moved right through northern Cedar Rapids, Marion, Hiawatha, and Robbins. It's now moving towards Springville. We're talking about Morley, Lisbon, Mount Vernon, Mechanicsville. Those areas, I'm calling out your town, or at least if you're living near that town, you need to be taking shelter right now because this is a powerful line of storms moving through right now. Looking at some of the velocity data here, again, this is a bit up in the atmosphere, but there's some potential. We're clearly seeing it reach down to the ground. Radar indications of nearly 100-mile-per-hour wind gusts here, now moving into southwestern Jones County. So you really need to make sure you're taking this storm very seriously here. Let's go ahead. We'll go back and kind of do a quick reset. I want to just kind of bring everybody up to speed of what we're dealing with right now. The worst of the weather right now moving through Lynn County into Jones County and northern Cedar County. Well, let's take a live view right now from Coralville. You can see the strongest of the storm. This is the gust front starting to arrive right now. Wind gusts approaching 60 to 70 miles per hour will be likely there, followed by potentially even stronger winds of 70 to 80 miles per hour. But I think Coralville and Iowa City, at least as of now, will likely miss the core of the most powerful winds. We do have a line of thunderstorms that extends from Dubuque over towards Cedar Rapids and over towards Tama as well. Tama County remains in that severe thunderstorm warning, as well as Iowa County, southern Benton County, Jones County, and Cedar County. So let's do a bit of a kind of walk around. We'll go through from kind of line of the storm, and we'll go swing all the way around over towards Dubuque. We'll start off here with this severe thunderstorm warning that continues here. This is for Tama County. We still have that threat of 70-mile-per-hour winds with that right there, and that was actually a confirmed report. We actually had winds of 93 measured in Albion and Poweshiek County just west of Tama County. So hopefully the worst of it did not reach into Tama County, but we know that it was certainly possible. That severe thunderstorm warning continues until 8:30. There's another polygon here, though, actually until 9:15. I'm trying to get this guy right here. I don't think I'm getting the right one, but there's this severe thunderstorm warning. There we go. For 60-mile-per-hour winds, that continues for Tama County. So Tama County, you're almost out of it. Give another maybe 20 minutes, and the worst of it will now be off to your south. We'll now move over. We have this very large polygon here. This severe thunderstorm warning continues for northern Iowa County, most of Johnson County, and northwestern and western portions of Cedar County. We're talking about winds of 70 miles per hour. The worst of that right now, basically into Coralville. We'll be moving into Iowa City towards West Branch as well. Solon, you're already in the thick of that storm. Swisher, North Liberty, Oxford as well. South of Iowa City, you're going to be next. So Hills, this storm is coming in your direction as well. Washington County and Keokuk County, for the time being, you're escaping the severe weather warnings, but that may change with time. We'll have to see how things evolve here. The worst of that storm continues to be this destructive thunderstorm, 100-mile-per-hour winds right now moving through eastern Lynn County, but the worst of it right now is likely in western portions of Jones County, moving towards northwestern portions of Cedar County. The worst of that weather pretty much in Anamosa right now. Monticello over towards Morley, Wyoming. You'll be next down towards Oxford Junction. If we look at the velocity view, we'll kind of see how the raindrops are moving, how fast they're moving. And you can kind of see that core of that winds right here, moving from eastern Lynn County into western portions of Jones County. So again, Anamosa, Morley, Lisbon, Mount Vernon, over towards Clarence, Oxford Junction, Wyoming, Monticello. Get ready. We're talking about winds potentially as high as 100 miles per hour. Put the radar view back on. I'm going to go back, just clear this banner, and we'll swing off to the north, where we're still dealing with severe weather over in the Dubuque area. By the Dubuque Airport, we're talking about pretty strong winds here. There are so many polygons here. I'm not going to be able to get the right one. I'm not even going to try. But we're talking about winds of potentially 60 to 70 miles per hour pushing out of Dubuque County into northern portions of Jackson County. Jackson County, we hand that over to our friends in the Quad Cities. They are the ones that take over the TV coverage for Jackson County. But we do have that very strong winds moving from the Dubuque Airport roughly into Jackson County. Of course, we're also still dealing with pretty strong winds here on the backside. This is another damaging threat on the backside of that initial line moving into Dubuque. We got some pretty strong winds here. So this is pushing out of Delaware County into Dubuque County. So Earlville, Dyersville, down to Hopkinton. We get Epworth, Cascade. That's another area where we're going to be talking about potentially very strong winds around 70 to 80 miles per hour. Meteorologist Casey Frericks continuing to keep an eye on the severe weather reports coming on in. Any updates?
Yeah, obviously a lot of reports are now coming in of the damage that has taken place here in the Cedar Rapids metro area as well as Marion. Reports of tree branches, larger tree branches. You're looking at 3 to 5 inch in diameter that have been really snapped off. We've also seen some reports actually of power poles that have also been snapped in the area, contributing to what was a couple thousand here just in Lynn County who were without power. We keep continuing to see reports of 70 to 80 mile per hour winds with these storms as well. And we've also seen reports of a damage to some mobile homes. Not sure exactly where that particular maybe mobile home park is at or where those homes are located. But obviously those are structures that do not do well when there are 100 mile per hour wind gusts working through the area. So the damage likely to be widespread across obviously the city here as well. And Nick, looks like we have a little bit of extent. It looks like it's mostly out of our area, obviously, but a bit of an extension there on that destructive severe thunderstorm warning.
Yeah, a new severe thunderstorm warning there for the southeastern and eastern portions there of Cedar County as this ahead of the line of storms, and this will ultimately be moving into the Quad Cities area. So down towards Davenport, Rock Island, Moline, that'll inevitably be heading down that way. But of course, this is exiting our area as well. This storm continues to move off to the east now at 70 miles per hour. So the speed on this continues to kind of uptick. If we put another fan on it, we'll give another kind of heads up when this will be moving into your area. Let me go ahead and set this up here for you. The strongest core of winds along the leading edge of the gust front, and then it continues to dive east and southeast. So Clarence around 831, Iowa City around 837. If it's not there already, Bellevue, that's technically out of our area, around 845, and then all those other towns are outside of our viewing area. But if you know people that may be living in those areas, friends or relatives, give them a call, give them a text, let them know the danger that's coming our way. We do have some pretty intense winds that will be exiting our area, moving into northwestern Illinois and far eastern and southeastern portions of Iowa outside of our viewing area. Just kind of keeping an eye on traffic reports and things like that. It seems like the interstates and things took that initial line through Cedar Rapids pretty well. I'm not seeing any major reports of crashes or anything. That's good news there. But again, the worst of that storm is now moving into Jones County. We'll go ahead and we'll zoom back in here. The worst of that storm continues to be with this destructive 100 mile per hour tag. I'm not sure if it's still or not. There's just so many polygons issued. They're just slapped on top of each other.
It's still warned, yeah. I have it pulled up here. It's still warned for 100 mile per hour destructive winds, obviously, with that obviously gust front that is out ahead of these storms, and then obviously more strong winds that are in behind that where sort of the rain is. So you're kind of getting a 1-2 punch as these kind of kick on through the area. Actually, you can see those bright blues and even some purples kind of showing up there. Those are just the really intense winds that are a part of these storms. You can see it's starting to work its way places like Wyoming, Olin, Mechanicsville. You're probably getting some very strong winds right now. Stanwood and Clarence, those are just right around. In the next couple of minutes, you're going to be expecting these strong winds that are up to 80+ miles per hour working their way into your area. Make sure you're getting inside a home and obviously also staying away from the windows in your home as well.
And you can really kind of see, as you know, he was alluding to, that very thick core of the strongest winds. Now really exiting Lynn County, we're still going to be dealing with some pretty strong wind gusts periodically approaching maybe 40 to 50 miles per hour. So if you're going to be outside surveying the damage around your neighborhood, be mindful of what's above you, power lines or tree limbs that may have been damaged but haven't fully fallen. Before you walk anywhere, it's dark outside, look up what's above you if you're going to start surveying the damage, because you don't know what you're going to be walking into. If you are walking outside in the dark, have a flashlight. Make sure you can see before you step on a nail or some type of damage. Just some tips if you're going to be surveying the damage. Again, the worst of that wind right now moving towards Morley, Olin, over towards Anamosa, Mechanicsville, and racing right down Highway 30. So if I kind of look at the traditional radar view, the rain view of things, you can kind of see the strongest core of winds. They're going to happen with the heavier precipitation, because it needs that precipitation to mix those winds down. And so your strongest winds are going to be in this heavier precipitation right now. But that initial gust, where we could see gusts of maybe 50 to 60 miles per hour, that's not well to the east. Like Oxford Junction, it probably already just blew through you there. Clarence is already through you as well. Loudon, that's kind of the last stop in our viewing area for this storm for it to go through. That'll be approaching here within the next couple of minutes. This is the initial gust front, where we're talking about wind gusts of potentially 50 to 60 miles per hour, maybe as high as 70, but those gusts of 80 to maybe 90 miles per hour, even reported 100 miles per hour, that will be kind of in this heavier precipitation core right here. So Onslow to Wyoming, Scotch Grove, Olin, Morley, Anamosa, south of Monticello, this is going to be the core of the most intense winds right now. We actually, as you can still tell, we actually do have a tornado warning that continues just off to our east and southeast here. This is outside our viewing area, but you probably are going to see it on the side of your screen. Just want to give you a heads up. There's a little, you can kind of see like a nubbin right there. That is where that circulation would be, southwest of Otter Creek. But again, this is exiting our area. This is not going to affect our viewing area. But if you're watching us online and you happen to be in the Quad Cities and things like that, know that that's kind of heading in that general direction. For us, the main threat continues to be the destructive winds moving through eastern Iowa. Let's do a reset on things. A situation right now. Let's actually take a live, or not a live view, but a video from the Ragbri area earlier. This is from our photojournalist, Logan Schroeder. You can see the shelf cloud that's moving on through. He's partaking in the Ragbri, or near the Ragbri festivities. All those tents, that's what concerns me the most. A lot of people in RVs and tents in Ragbri. We're talking about tens of thousands of people that are visiting the area as part of Ragbri, and they just experienced a good old Iowa thunderstorm. We're talking winds of potentially 70 to 80 miles per hour rolled on through the Coralville area. Hopefully everyone is taking shelter with it. Here's again a look at the current state of things. There are warning polygons slapped all over the place here. The general idea, though, is that we have a strong line of thunderstorms moving from Dubuque towards the Anamosa area, still sitting in Cedar Rapids, and then this extends westward into southern Tama County, southern Benton County, northern Iowa County, and northern Johnson County as well. So this line is going to continue to move east and southeast over the next several hours. We have a long way to go before the storm is finally through our area, and we may be dealing with thunderstorms throughout the night tonight. You may notice what's happening well off to our northwest, over towards Floyd County. There's another severe thunderstorm warning for another storm that just popped up as well. So again, we're watching this big old line of thunderstorms as it moves through the area. Lynn County, latest update is 3,000 customers without power. You can take a look at it right now. Lynn County, 2,945. That's not a significant portion of the population, but that's pretty big. You can see Buchanan County's got some outages as well, and we're starting to see some numbers there in Benton County, nearly 1,000 customers in the dark there. And I got to tell you, I just walked outside here a minute ago. I think a lot of these outages are northeast Cedar Rapids, because outside of our studio, it looks very dark. All the houses here in the neighborhood, I don't see any lights on. So I think a lot of these outages are likely in the northeastern side of Cedar Rapids. There's a live view right now from the Eastern Iowa Airport exit on I-380. A lot of traffic going southbound, not as much going northbound, which is good. We don't want them driving in this storm tonight. Again, kind of summarizing the radar threat. Kaysen, by the way, if you have anything, just feel free to shout and let me know. We'll jump over to you. But again, we're watching that line of storms that moves on through. I think the good news here is that things are not looking as intense as they were. I don't want to belittle this at all. Based on what we went through, this has a pretty good chance that it can uptick once again. However, those destructive 100-mile-per-hour winds likely subsiding just a little bit. Let's go ahead and take a look at the warnings. We're going to be jumping around here, and the reason we're going wall to wall with the severe thunderstorm warning is the severity of this. I don't think anybody in Cedar Rapids has to question why we're on the air right now. We just went through a very intense thunderstorm. We do have this warning that continues here for Lynn County, Jones County, and northern Cedar County. That continues until 9 o'clock for about another 20 minutes. You can see they still have the 100-mile-per-hour tag with this storm. Very likely some intense winds of 80, 90, perhaps 100-mile-per-hour winds still moving through portions of Jones County. The worst of that weather, I think, is outside of Lynn County at this point in time, but also northern portions of Cedar County. You're going to be dealing with those very intense winds pretty shortly as well. We'll jump on down to, again, Johnson County. We're dealing with this severe thunderstorm warning as well. That warning will continue until, I believe, it's 9:45. Let me jump on down here. Oh, that's also 9:15. My apologies. 9:15, this severe thunderstorm warning, which continues for northern Iowa County, much of Johnson County, and this will move over into Cedar County as well. This particular storm, we're talking about wind gusts of 70 miles per hour, some small hail as well. We had that initial gust front. You can see it is now well through the Iowa City metro area. That continues, though, to dive southeast. Let's take a look around the Iowa City metro area. I have literally the camera I was about to pull up. So there's a live view right now at the Pentecrest in Iowa City. You can see on the horizon there, we're looking off to the west here. So on the left side of your screen, that's south. And so you can see the leading edge of that storm there on the horizon. Thankfully, not a lot of people out and about. Hopefully they're aware of the severity of the storm that'll be moving on through eastern Iowa right now. That's moving on through the area. But again, we're dealing with very strong winds now moving through Iowa City metro area. Here's a live look at Highway 218 and Highway 1 on the west side of town. You see the camera shaking pretty good. The stronger wind gusts are starting to arrive. We're talking about wind gusts right now around 60 to 70 miles per hour. These, though, could increase potentially maybe 70 to 80. But I think the worst of the wind, thankfully, should stay just off to the north for our friends in Ragbri. Unfortunately, that is moving through Jones County. Here's a live view right now at Kiddick Stadium. You can see that shelf cloud there. This is looking again off to the south and southeast. The leading edge of that very big shelf cloud there, that's that leading edge of the really strong winds. I'm trying to pull up our camera that's on Burlington Street. I don't know if I'm going to be able to snipe it here. I'm not going to be able to. That's fine. Very strong winds here. Let's look at maybe the south side. Again, here's 218 Highway 1. We'll jump up north more towards the Swisher area. You can see the frequent lightning, heavy rain falling there. Frequent lightning. That is going to be the other major concern with storms going forward tonight. Kason, any new reports coming out in?
Just obviously damage reports kind of pulling on in here as well. Sorry, looking back a little bit. Obviously, these storms continuing to track its way off towards the south and east. We've seen the reports still coming in of 70-mile-per-hour winds, 80-mile-per-hour winds as well. Of course, these storms labeled as destructive for 80-plus mile-per-hour winds there as we're pushing on through. I know that we're working to get some video. We have some more video of it working through Cedar Rapids here when that initial line kind of rolled on through. So if you can just let me know possibly when we have that there as well. Go to, if you want to take maybe our Coralville Skycam right now, that's where obviously a lot of the action is starting to pick up there. It looks like obviously it is 8:43, but it is just entirely dark out there. But like Nick mentioned, is the prolific lightning that's taking place, and you can just see it's like every second we've got lightning coming out. So that's one of those other hazards as well. If you're trying to get a peek outside even and try and snap a couple pictures or a video, that's even dangerous then. The possibility of maybe even getting struck by lightning there, certainly that possibility. We can go back to Max 1 now. I can control it here and kind of take us around what's kind of going on into the area. So obviously, so storms right there, moving out of Tama County, not really kind of moving out of the area there. Tama a little bit out of in the clear now. Those have moved out of your area here. Obviously, that line of storms starting to enter near Solon as well as North Liberty. Obviously, you had that gust front moved on through. You were looking at 50, 60 mile-per-hour winds there. And then once this the line with that has the rain in it, that you're obviously going to see those winds 70, possibly 80 mile per hour during that time, moving in into Marengo now, as well as Oxford, so North Liberty. In the next couple of minutes here, you're going to be in the gun, and that includes obviously Coralville and Iowa City, as well as West Branch. You're likely going to be seeing some issues here within the next couple of minutes with some very gusty winds there. If you've got folks maybe traveling on Interstate 80, whatever way they're going, if they're heading east or heading west through the area, maybe they're not weather aware or they don't know entirely what's going on, maybe give them a call, let them know. Obviously, as they approach maybe Iowa City, they can get off, just kind of wait this out a little bit. We've had reports of blinding rain taking place, the rain falling sideways because the wind is so strong. Visibility greatly reduced out of these as well. We'll continue to just push this over. You can see, obviously, this is that severe thunderstorm warning that's mostly pushed out of our area now, and we still have, obviously, this tornado warning where you can actually see that little bit of a notch there near Otter Creek. That's mostly out of our area here as well. Our friends at the Quad Cities are kind of dealing with that, but obviously you can get those sort of spin-ups on that leading edge of lines of storms like this, and then we can get that little spin to happen, and that could possibly be a tornado that there is on the ground. So we'll just give you a wide view, I should say, as that new, that's a big polygon there that has come in. So this will actually include Washington County. Now, you're included in southern portions of Johnson County there, included into that newest warning that has been issued. Once again, still destructive storms with expecting 80+ miles per hour winds with those here. So make sure folks down there in Washington, Riverside, you're getting ready to go into your safe place, because like we've said a couple times already, treat these like it's a tornado warning, since we've got that destructive tag on it. That can blow obviously debris around. We've seen trees, large tree branches snapped, as well as power poles, reports of those being snapped, and damage to mobile homes as well as roofs across the area here. Nick, you got anything else, obviously, looking at some of the reports coming in?
Just seeing some damage reports of power poles broken in Cedar Rapids. This is northeast Cedar Rapids. We did have reports at the Dubuque Airport gusting measured of 60 miles per hour. These storms continue to pack quite a punch as they move on through the area. We had some spotted reports of power out, multiple branches down. I don't have exact location other than northeast Cedar Rapids. I do know northeast Cedar Rapids likely got the worst of the storm. I'm trying to check into my security cameras at home, and I don't have any connectivity, which means we're either out without power or internet or both, either one of those things. We had a lot of reports, thankfully, of not a lot of hail, which is good news. That's the one positive here. The majority of things I'm seeing here are primarily going to be wind damage. We had some destructive storms that moved on through the area. You can see the storm continues moving southward, so Iowa County to Johnson County to Cedar County. That severe thunderstorm warning for 70 mile per hour winds. We're talking about you had that initial gust front, but you got that second wave that's going to be coming on in with the heaviest of that precipitation. And again, for those that are east of us, just an FYI, with that tornado warning, there is a confirmed tornado near Andrew. But again, that is outside of our area. That's north of Maquoketa. But just an FYI for anybody that may be watching us out that way, with that tornado warning, there is a confirmed tornado now.
I can try and get over there maybe just to look at that.
We just had another report from the Dubuque Airport, gusting to 60 knots. Doing some quick math, that would be about 66 to 67 miles per hour, so nearly 70 mile per hour winds now in the Dubuque area. We just had a brand new report come in of 71 miles per hour. This is from the Union Pacific Railroad Mesonet Station, which I didn't know was a thing until right now, but that's awesome. But we have a report of 71 mile per hour now in Loudon. That's in far southeastern portions of Cedar County. That is with that initial gust of wind. So we're getting all sorts of reports here coming on in with this very intense line of storms that continues to move through eastern Iowa. We can actually kind of, if I can take over here for a second, we'll pop up just all the reports, and you can kind of see all these reports that extend way off to the northwest. I'm going to turn off the lightning because there's a lot going on here. But again, we have that confirmed tornado there. There's the new polygon. This is near Andrew, north of Maquoketa. Again, this is not in our viewing area, but there is the Jackson County Fair that is going on right now. This would be moving in that area. So if you know anybody that may be at the Jackson County Fair, maybe give them another call, another text. Let them know that they got significant problems coming their way in Jackson County. But the majority of the reports that we're seeing here in the Cedar Rapids metro area, real quick and kind of pop up some of these. We had a gust here in Atkins of 60 miles per hour. We had a gust here of Palo of 70 miles per hour. Midway of 82 miles per hour. We had this gust here near Hiawatha of 90 miles per hour. That was the other thing that we're doing. We also have 66 miles per hour in Marion, damage to mobile homes. Southeast Cedar Rapids, 72 miles per hour. So we had a very intense line of storms that moved on through. The Cedar Rapids airport gusted to 69 miles per hour at 8:16. And finally, we got that report near Loudon of 71. So this storm made its presence felt. Gust of 53 over towards Vinton. We do have Nick Wagon, the road warrior tonight. He's in the Cedar Rapids metro area, kind of surveying things. Nick, can you just tell us exactly kind of where you are, and are you observing any damage or anything like that in Cedar Rapids?
Well, Nick, so far we've only seen just some minor damage, small tree limbs in the roadway. We're making our way to the east side of Marion right now on 7th Ave. I'm going to go ahead and pull out the shot. You can see things much calmer despite plenty of lightning out there still, but the winds have calmed here in the metro. The rain is beginning to subside, at least on the north side of the metro. And right now we are heading for that report of mobile homes that were damaged near Highway 151 and Highway 13 on the northeast side of Marion. But again, so far, obviously, you see with the road construction here in Marion, some cones knocked over. We've seen some limbs down and some debris in the roadway. Fortunately, no major damage that we've seen so far, but we're going to check out and see, make sure everyone's okay in that mobile home park where there was damage reported to some of the homes there. Nick, we'll send it back to you.
All right, we continue to watch the severe weather as it moves through the area. Again, this was a very intense line of thunderstorms that continues to move through. We'll give you a quick update on the warnings that we have right now. This severe thunderstorm warning continues for all of Washington County. 60-mile-per-hour winds now moving into the northern portion of Washington County. That gust front there from Riverside over to Wellman, that'll be moving south and southeast. So if we do put a quick fan on this to track its track, let's say 40 miles per hour, as it moves through Washington County here. Lexington around 8:59, the Wellman area around 8:51, and then Keota around 9:01. Then down towards Crawfordsville, that'll be affecting your area generally probably around about 9:15 to 9:20 or so. So that's rough timing as that storm continues to move through Washington County. We have this other severe thunderstorm warning that continues for 80-mile-per-hour winds. This is southeastern portions of Cedar County. This is now moving towards the Davenport area. Very intense winds here on the leading edge here. We'll do another quick fan on this to time this out. Again, this is kind of primarily exiting our area. But Durant around 8:55, DeWitt around 9:02, Aldridge around 9:10, Bluegrass around 9:14. That's that initial gust of wind moving in that direction. Moving farther off to the north, we are still watching this tornado warning, which again is outside of our area. It is in Jackson County, a confirmed tornado moving through Jackson County right now. This does include Andrew, Van Buren, down towards Savannah in Illinois. You can see Springbrook right there. This is a confirmed tornado based on radar and reports. I can actually pop up what we call the correlation coefficient or damage indicator, and you can kind of make out there is a debris signature there north of Andrew. This is a confirmed tornado moving through, again, Jackson County, what is outside of our area. Over towards the Dubuque area, we're still dealing with very strong winds as well. This warning, let's just say 9:30. I'm not sure when we'll be able to really get there. It is, say 9 o'clock, gust of 60 miles per hour there. Very intense winds are moving through the area as well. So we're almost done with this, friends. This line is almost through the area, almost into northern Illinois. But we're still dealing with the effects of it here. Again, this is, of course, still moving through Iowa County. We have this until 9:15, a considerable threat of 70-mile-per-hour winds. If you're in the Coralville area, Iowa City area, North Liberty, Newport over towards West Branch, Hills is in this area as well. You had that initial gust of winds, likely 50 to 60 miles per hour, and we're about to get another pretty good burst of winds as this continues to move southward. So North Liberty, you're probably going to start getting into the winds here pretty soon, as well as the heavier rainfall and frequent lightning. Want to make sure you're treating the lightning with respect just as much as everything else. So that's kind of the line right now. As this all continues to move on through, we continue to kind of pour through reports that are slowly coming on in. We have another report in Dubuque County. near Zwingle of 59 miles per hour. More confirmations of the tornado in Jackson County, which again is outside of our area. Marion, we had a measured gust of 66 miles per hour. We had other reports around 90 miles per hour. Loudon again 71. So this intense line of storms continues to kind of move through the area. Kason, if you get a second too, if you can pull up the Cedar Rapids, our tower sky cam, and kind of look around and see if we can find some damage kind of around the studio. I'm not sure if there's any responders or anything like that. Go ahead and take split with Road Warrior. Okay, we got a live view again of the Road Warrior tonight, kind of traveling around the Cedar Rapids metro area. We did have some reports earlier of damage to mobile homes. I believe that is what we're on the hunt for right now. You can see a lot of people are out surveying the damage. A few people walking there. There's looks like maybe some damage to the bottom of that mobile home there. But again, this is some of the situations that we're dealing with. A lot of very strong winds move through the area this evening. And again, just a reminder, if you are out going to be surveying the damage around your property, you really need to make sure you're looking out for power lines, tree limbs down, things like that. You don't exactly know what you're going to be walking into. Make sure you're using a flashlight to survey the damage at night. And of course, look at what's above you as well. Be very cognizant of hanging power lines, hanging tree branches. The fatalities that we had in the August 10th, 2020 derecho, most of those were due to damage, power lines down, tree limbs falling. So just keep that in mind, that even though the worst of the weather is moving out, the worst of the impacts may still be sticking with us here for a while. So again, we're just kind of cruising through the area, kind of looking for damage reports right now. Here's again a look at the radar view of things as this line continues to kind of move through Cedar Rapids. We're still dealing with the effects of some strong gusty winds here and there, maybe around 50 to 60 miles per hour, but the worst of the weather is really moving east of Lynn County now, almost completely now out of Jones County as well. Cedar County, you're going to be dealing with the strong winds as well. Northern Johnson County, we're dealing with that intense winds over towards Iowa County. So this line is going to continue to drift southward. The leading edge of the very strong winds, you can kind of make it out here very clearly from about Maquoketa, just west of the Quad Cities, and now approaching Washington. So Washington, you're about to get a big gust of wind here. This will be way ahead of the actual rain, and a lot of the lightning will be way off on the horizon. You're about to get a pretty good gust of wind here, maybe 50 to 60 miles per hour. That's the current indication that we're seeing moving into Washington. So Washington County and Washington, get ready for a good gust of wind. If you're still in the Johnson County area, you are still dealing with the very strong winds about to be moving in as well. We'll do a quick zoom in here on Johnson County. You can see the heaviest rain now pushing into North Liberty towards Coralville and Iowa City. This, as it pushes off to the south and east, will be moving towards the Iowa City area. So we're talking about winds potentially around 70 miles per hour. That's the current indication here from the National Weather Service. That is a considerable threat, according to the Weather Service here. 70 mile per hour winds likely about to move towards North Liberty, Coralville, down to Iowa City, down to Hills as well. If you're up further off to the north, say southeastern Lynn County, you're still likely dealing with some strong winds as well, potentially maybe 50 to 60 or 70 miles per hour. I think the worst are probably east of you. But again, Lisbon, Mount Vernon, you're still dealing with pretty strong winds as well. Bertram down to Ely, eastward over towards southern portion of Jones County, you're still likely dealing with strong winds as well. Morley, Olin over towards Hale, Oxford Junction, and then down Highway 30, Mechanicsville, Stanwood over towards Clarence. We got Tipton in this area right here. You are under that severe thunderstorm warning as well for wind gust of 70 to 80 miles per hour. So this worst of the storm continues to dive southeastward over the next probably about 30 minutes or so. We hope to be done with this storm around 10 o'clock. I think the worst of this storm will be exiting our area by 10 o'clock. The good news is we're not seeing as many reports coming in of damage, but it's going to take some time. We're likely going to have a lot of assessments going on. It's pretty hard to report severe weather at night. So we're going to learn a lot more about what exactly happened here in the hours and day ahead. If you do have any live pictures from Iowa City, feel free to take them because there's a live view right now at the Pentecrest. You can see the flags at the top of the Pentecrest there, the old Capitol building, blowing from north to south. The strong gusty winds have moved through Iowa City already, but you're about likely to get another dose of some heavier rain and winds. I see people walking around out there by the Iowa logo. You really want to be inside, guys. Not only is the wind going to be a threat, but the lightning as well. I would definitely make sure I'm getting inside, away from the lightning, away from the wind, away from the rain. This storm has a history of producing some pretty significant damage in our area. So just kind of a heads up. We're likely going to stay on till at least 9. And then once we get to 9 o'clock, if you want to coordinate with me, Jacob, we can kind of figure out exactly how we want to maybe migrate into Fox 28 News at 9. Just let me know. And we'll just kind of make sure we're going to give continuous updates there over on Fox 28. But again, here's the current situation of the radar. We have that line of storms from Dubuque down towards the Quad Cities and now moving through the Washington area. Meteorologist Casey Fresh, just curious if you have any updates coming in, any more severe weather reports or anything, any updates on that end?
Yeah, I've been trying to watch some of the reports. I've been also trying to move our sky camera around here on top of Broadcast Park. If we want to actually take that, it kind of maybe will show where some of these power outages are at. It's kind of almost around the station here a little bit. We have some of the gain kind of cranked up a little bit, so you can see obviously where the normal street lights are, home lights, but you've got areas kind of around the station here where obviously there's no power on. Clearly, there's no power on. There's lights. It looks like more towards downtown, looks like there are lights on, obviously, but the frequent lightning taking place as well. We'll maybe pan this up for you just a little bit. You can just see it's just everywhere. We've seen a lot of cloud to ground lightning here on this sky cam as well. So a couple more reports coming in here. We have seen, obviously, some more reports there in Dubuque County, another 60 mile per hour report of a gust there in Dubuque County. We're just looking at some of those reports. It kind of seems, though, that we're not hitting a lot of those 80 mile per hour gusts, at least at this time, from kind of what we're looking at, but still certainly 60s and 70s miles per hour gusts. Still working through with these storms that, of course, are still labeled destructive as they push really close to Interstate 80 right now across much of the area. So something to certainly be keeping our eye on.
Real quick, we have an update from Alliant Energy at my house, not too far from the studio. They're expecting power restored around 10:30. That's pretty tentative. We'll see how recovery efforts go. We also have Nick Weig out in the Road Warrior this evening, keeping an eye on severe weather. I believe he has found some damage in the Cedar Rapids metro area. Nick, what are you looking at right now? And give us an update where you're at.
Yeah, Nick, we're going to take you outside. This is on the far east side of Marion. A portion of a tree has come down on a house. You can see it appears the power is out here as well. But a portion of that tree has collapsed on top of the house. As far as we're aware, there are no injuries reported. That's the good news. But this is certainly the most serious we've seen come across. You see the flashes of lightning in the distance there, still very vivid as we're making our way around, but certainly not a good sign as we are seeing some property damage now from these storms here in the metro. We're going to continue looking for any other instances of damage that we can find, but fortunately, at least from what we've seen, we have not seen any evidence of widespread damage, and hopefully that's going to hold as we learn more about what happened tonight. Nick?
All right, thank you very much, Nick Weig, out in the Road Warrior tonight, keeping an eye on the severe weather threat. Again, we're watching a whole host of warnings that continue. We got warnings in southern Tama County, the worst of that severe weather, almost out of Tama County. We can almost give Tama County the all clear. We're just getting some final little showers there. Iowa County, we got that line pushing on through right now. Northern Johnson County, you're starting to get into the rain, heavier precipitation, some gusty winds as well. The leading edge of the really strong winds right now towards Washington. So Washington, you're likely about to get into some pretty intense winds, maybe around 50 to 60 miles per hour. We'll quickly kind of jump down that way, kind of show you this. This again is the leading edge of that gust front. This is that strong winds kicking south out of those storms. Right now, probably approaching the Keota area. We'll be moving into Washington shortly. So Washington, get ready for the strong winds. Ainsworth, this will be coming your way as well. Crawfordsville down to Brighton. Really, this is just going to be coming at you within about the next 10 minutes. At the most. So within the next few minutes, if not 10 minutes, I'll be blasting on through Washington County. And again, that warning continues for a 60-mile-per-hour wind gust. That's likely mostly on the leading edge of that very strong line there. Jumping off to the north, we do have other active severe weather that continues. We'll jump up to this warning here in Johnson County. You can see the heavier precipitation now moving through North Liberty. It is about ready to approach the Coralville area and Iowa City. Again, we got all those riders here to Ragbri in Coralville. That's where that worst of that weather is moving in right now. Let's take a quick look around the Iowa City metro area and kind of see how things are looking. Let's see if our North Liberty camera is working here. This is I-380 at Penn Street. I believe that's exit 4 there on I-380. You can see very heavy rain falling right now. The lightning is prolific as well. So got to treat the lightning with as much respect as the strong wind. Any potential hail threat as well. Traffic is certainly moving pretty slow. It's good to see not a lot of northbound traffic. This is looking northbound. It's good to not see a lot of traffic moving that way. We'll jump further down towards like the Coralville area. Here's I-380 Coleridge Avenue. The pavement here mostly dry. The heaviest rain is about to move into Coralville, and that'll help mix down some of those wind gusts approaching 60 miles per hour, maybe 70 miles per hour. So Coralville, you're not done yet. Even after that initial gust came on through, the rain's about to move through. That'll also bring in some pretty strong wind gusts out that way. Farther off to the east, more towards kind of the far eastern side, towards West Branch. Here's I-80 and Highway 1. You can see we're seeing the lightning as well. You're dry for the time being, but traffic is moving. That's the good news there. So that's the situation there around the Johnson County area. We'll actually jump right now towards the center of Iowa City. This is from the University of Iowa Hydro Science Engineering Department. You can see lightning there on the horizon. We're looking off to the north, the worst of that storm coming over here from the northwest. You can see some gusty winds. We're about to get that heavy rain moving into Iowa City here shortly. Now moving into North Liberty and Coralville. Jumping up farther north over towards the Cedar Rapids metro area, you can see we're starting to lose some of the heavier precipitation. That's good news. The warning technically continues here for 80-mile-per-hour winds in Lynn County, but I think the majority of the wind threat is now east and southeast of the area, but we're still seeing a lot of lightning. Just something to keep in mind. There's damage in northeast Cedar Rapids that we're aware of, so if you're out and about, just be mindful of trees that may be in the road, damage that might be in the road as well. And we'll jump over towards Jones County. Thankfully here, the storm is starting to kind of wind down a bit as well, but we're still seeing some potential of 80-mile-per-hour winds. This would be southern and southwestern portions of Jones County, and we'll wrap it up here in Cedar County. We got this bow echo that's pushing towards the Quad City metro area. This is also pushing southward through Cedar County. This is also capable of 80-mile-per-hour winds. So Rochester over towards Wilton, West Branch, you're about to get probably some of the worst winds as well. But the very worst of that severe weather is slowly moving off to the south and east. Meteorologist Kason Frericks, any update on your end?
Yeah, not a whole lot coming in right now. A lot of it is now obviously pushing out of our area there with those more intense winds where that Boeing line segment has pushed off into more Jackson, Clinton County, into the Quad City area there, as well as that tornado warning that is now out of our area. So yeah, we're just kind of watching this broken, or not broken, but it maybe is starting to break up just a little bit. But obviously heavy rain going to be entering places like Coralville, Iowa City here into the next couple of minutes. North Liberty seeing some of that right now. Obviously, if you're traveling on Interstate 80 here, you're going to accompany some heavy rainfall, lots of lightning with winds that are going to be blowing at 60, 70 miles per hour. So that'll make it very difficult to drive. Of course, if you know somebody who's either traveling there or you are traveling yourself, you're maybe listening to the radio or something, stop off, maybe pull over to the side there. You should be all right in your car, or try and get into maybe a gas station or a business that they'll let you in. That's always a good place as well to just kind of ride this out for a little bit as this continues to track off to the south here. I'll maybe put on the velocity just a little bit, and maybe we can try and look at maybe where some of the wind speeds actually are, where some of those brighter colors are. We'll kind of click towards North Liberty, still kind of at 60 miles per hour. Of course, we're shooting a little bit higher up into this storm. That's not obviously right directly at the surface here, but Iowa City will see some winds approaching 50 to 60 miles per hour. So certainly that is going to continue on as these drag their way off to the south here. That polygon that we're kind of zoomed in on right now will go until 9:15 this evening. I wouldn't be maybe surprised if that is maybe extended just a tad bit as these storms not moving too quick. They're not flying. And then just to the south of that even, there is that other severe thunderstorm warning encompassing portions of, excuse me, choking on my spit there, encompassing portions of Washington County. That will go until 9:45. You had that leading line of wind, basically, that gust front probably just moved through Washington right now. You're probably experiencing some of those winds there, gust upwards of 50, 60 miles per hour. The good news is with this warning that is south of that warning that is for Johnson as well as Cedar and Iowa County. This is only for 60 miles per hour, so we're starting to go down a little bit to more normal levels of where we get with these severe thunderstorm warnings. So maybe it is a sign that that line has sort of weakened on that southern and western flank of it, and the strongest of those winds are now in that Boeing segment that's actually starting to make its way closer to the Mississippi River and into Illinois and eventually out of our area here.
All right, so current time rolling up on 9:10 in the evening. I think this is what we're going to do. We're probably going to end our continuing coverage as the worst of the weather is starting to calm down a little bit. We're going to continue to keep those warnings strong on the bottom of your screen. Join us over on Iowa's News Now, Fox 28. We'll continue to bring updates as we go throughout that newscast, which is already in progress. And then, of course, over on CBS 2 at 10 o'clock, more updates. We may have some information on damage and things like that as well. So stick with us. We're done, I think, with the worst of that severe weather, but the minute anything changes, we'll let you know. Jacob, is okay to send to break, and then we'll figure out the 9. All right, let's send to normal programming. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Please stay safe out there tonight.
Get weather warn alerts on all your devices. Stay ahead of the storm with Iowa's News Now, Weather First.
It's Sherry.
Sherry, Monday at 9 on Fox 28.
Celebrating 70 years of serving you. This is Iowa's News Now at 9.
It's my joy to be back in the first in the nation primary caucus state here in Iowa.
We're going to figure that out. Sorry about that. We got some mic issues. You might be able to aware that we got some severe weather. We're going to hear from some of the candidates as they made their way through the area. Also, of course, we have Ragbri. You see that video right there. A lot of stuff going on tonight here, but of course, the weather is one of the bigger issues right now. It
definitely is.
So we're going to just jump right into it. We do have multiple severe thunderstorm warnings that continue here in eastern Iowa. We had very strong winds that moved through Cedar Rapids, around 100 miles per hour. But here's a current look at things here in eastern Iowa. We do have that severe thunderstorm warning, which continues here for Washington County. I'm just going to walk around the line here. Washington County, the city of Washington likely just got a pretty good gust of wind right there. That's moving southward towards Columbus Junction, also Crawfordsville. So that line continues to dive southeastward. Over in our eastern counties, we got some pretty strong winds still exiting the Dubuque area. Of course, Ragbri, a major story. In the Johnson County area, we're still talking about winds potentially around 70 miles per hour. We got a lot of people there for Ragbri. That's something we're dealing with right now. Here's a live view on the northeast side of Cedar Rapids from our studio. Lighting in the distance, a lot of lights off because of power outages. That severe thunderstorm watch will continue until midnight tonight. I do want to show you video I shot during our coverage right outside of our studio here. You're going to actually be able to see some power flashes. Power lines go down right outside of our street. We'll let that show here. But this just shows you the intensity of the wind. There's that power flash right outside of our studio. Very strong wind. So, summarizing, storm threat ending tonight by about midnight. For tomorrow, we're back in the upper 80s, mainly sunny and warm. We're tracking a bit of a cool down as we head towards next week, and you're full of the first forecast coming up in a few minutes.
And you can download our free weather app to keep track of the weather as it rolls in. We can get you more local coverage than the app that's already pre-installed on your phone. Just head over to your favorite app store and type in Iowa's News Now WX. And definitely an eventful day in eastern Iowa today is here. You can see the Ragbri riders making their way through the Amana colonies. Iowa's News Now Assistant News Director Mike Howell got this video on his own ride today. And as you can see, lots of riders making the stop there before heading into Coralville.
It's just humid compared to Arizona, but it's beautiful. Lots of green. It's lovely.
The 50th edition of the Ragbri Ride began last Sunday and will wrap up tomorrow in Davenport. Their journey began way back in Sioux City. Tonight, riders are making their way into the city of Coralville. The weather did not make things easy for the bikers this week as they had to beat the heat.
Still seeing people getting beers at the first town, but you know, for me, it's, you know, stopping every 20 or so miles, drinking water, like rehydration stuff, pickle juice, and just trying not to push too hard after, I don't know, 10:30, 11 a.m.
And as temperatures reach near triple digits the past couple of days, Coralville is preparing for the riders to have plenty to eat and drink, as well as a place to shower. And tonight, all 13 Republican presidential candidates are in Des Moines, speaking at the 2023 Lincoln Dinner. It's one of the biggest political events here in Iowa. Each candidate is given 10 minutes to talk. Former Vice President Mike Pence saying he would impose a ban on transgenders in the military and praised recent abortion laws here in Iowa. Former President Trump touting his current success in the polls and continued to mention the 2020 election, saying it was, quote, rigged.
And we can end Biden's radical abortion agenda by doing just what you all did recently here in Iowa, and that is promoting pro-life laws at states across the country. And I believe the time has come for a minimum national standard of a 15-week ban at the federal level.
And despite 4 years of deranged opposition, we did even better the second time than we did the first time, getting more votes in 2020 than any sitting president in the history of the United States. They rigged the presidential election in 2020. We're not going to allow them to rig the presidential election of 2024. They used COVID to cheat.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis said the same success he brought to Florida he will bring to D.C. if elected. And that includes enforcing term limits for elected officials and stopping Congress from negligent borrowing and spending. And meanwhile, several candidates were in eastern Iowa earlier today taking part in a presidential forum at Coe College over in Cedar Rapids. Right to Start hosted the forum focused on entrepreneurship. Larry Elder, Asa Hutchinson, Perry Johnson, and Francis Suarez all took part. Afterwards, Suarez, who is the mayor of Miami, says he's the candidate who can attract new voters to the Republican Party.
I think I'm the only Hispanic candidate in the field. That's 20% of this country. The last two presidential elections have been decided by less than 100,000 votes. So I think attracting new voters to the party is incredibly important, whether they be young voters that we lost to President Biden by 26%, whether it be Hispanics.
Because you can fail. And I thought there needed to
A recent bipartisan survey of American voters conducted for the Right to Start revealed overwhelming bipartisan support for entrepreneurship. Yet government policies do not often reflect that support. And earlier this afternoon, Vice President Kamala Harris making a trip to Des Moines to speak at Drake University. The vice president is traveling to states that have passed near total abortion bans. She says bans like the one Iowa lawmakers are pushing for, in her opinion, are playing politics with people's lives in a very real way.
As I travel the country, it becomes clear to me that so many people in these state legislatures don't even know how women's bodies work. I mean, that has really broken through. In that, most women will not even know they are pregnant at 6 weeks. Yeah. So it is in effect an outright ban.
The vice president says lawmakers need to address the nation's high rate of infant mortality, which is higher in the U.S. than any other advanced nation. And adding Florida Governor Ron DeSantis to the list as he met with small business leaders in Albia, Iowa today. DeSantis is fighting off a lot of negative headlines after reports donors were beginning to hold back on funds. His campaign also got in trouble for social media posts featuring a Nazi swastika. He's come under fire for a new education policy in Florida, teaching how skills learned by slaves benefited them after they were freed. And Senator Tim Scott, the GOP's only black Republican senator, criticized Florida's new school curriculum regarding slavery during a campaign stop in Ankeny yesterday. Scott told a reporter, quote, "There is no silver lining to slavery," referencing a section in Florida's school guidelines that suggests black slaves develop skills under the institution. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says there's not much to the flap.
She tried to demagogue something that had been done by a lot of black history scholars consistent with Florida law, saying we wanted strong standards, trying to say that because they had a provision saying that there were slaves that developed skills, even though they said that was in spite of slavery, not because of slavery, that somehow that was whitewashing it.
DeSantis was referencing Vice President Kamala Harris's response, and he is now accusing his fellow Republican presidential candidate of echoing Harris. As we know, the race for the White House in 2024 is ramping up. We'll get a recap of the latest campaign efforts when Iowa's News Now comes back from the break.
Always your eye on the sky. Always there with life-saving info on all your screens. Always choose weather first on Iowa's News Now.
Special counsel Jack Smith is adding new charges against former President Trump. 2 criminal investigations could possibly lead to state and federal charges. The former president and 2 staffers face charges of conspiracy to obstruct justice. The updated indictment accuses the former president of ordering the staffers to move classified documents so the FBI won't find them. One of those documents called for the Pentagon to attack Iran if need be. That's the same classified document Trump was caught on tape showing to biographers. In the recording, Trump is heard saying the document is top secret and he can't declassify it. The former president still denies any wrongdoing. And as the race for the White House in 2024 ramps up, it seems as though Donald Trump's lead among other Republican candidates has grown since his indictments. Willie James Inman reports from the White House.
Facing mounting legal troubles, former President Trump campaigned in Iowa on Friday.
They're weaponizing the FBI. And, you know, every time they do something, we go up in the polls.
Trump spoke the day after special counsel Jack Smith unveiled 3 additional criminal charges against him in the classified documents case. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina are also among the more than a dozen contenders speaking at a Republican Party dinner Friday night. Both have stayed away from direct attacks on the former president.
We're sending the military to the border.
But also as commander-in-chief, I will stand toe-to-toe with China.
Meanwhile, Vice President Kamala Harris spent the day in Iowa discussing reproductive rights and the state legislature's efforts to enact a 6-week abortion ban.
Our daughter is in her 20s. She is going to have fewer constitutional rights than my mother-in-law.
And President Biden traveled to Maine Friday to tout his Bidenomics economic policies.
Inflation is now at the lowest point it's been in over 2 years.
The president criticized Republicans for not supporting his Inflation Reduction Act and joked they might decide to impeach him because inflation is coming down. Willie James Inman, CBS News, Washington.
And we continue to watch that line of thunderstorms moving east and southeast through our area. Severe thunderstorm warning continues for Dubuque and Washington counties. We'll track the severe weather threat and go through some of the preliminary reports we're getting coming up after the break.
Real-time tracking and live road conditions on all your screens.
That's dust. All right, confirmed tornado. You can see dust now. Confirmed tornado.
The Weather First Road Warrior. Autopilot system concerns. Monday on Iowa's News Now at 9.
There's another shot to win the large jackpot for the Mega Millions tonight. The jackpot now sits at $910 million. That's the 8th largest prize ever in the U.S. It has been building since the last time someone won the jackpot back in April. There have been 28 straight drawings without a winner. Tonight's drawing is at 10. Inflation showed signs of cooling last month as news reports released today show consumer prices rose in June at their slowest pace in more than 2 years, and wage growth cooled last quarter. The sharp slowdown reflected falling gas prices and milder grocery costs. The U.S. economy is in a hopeful place with a solid job market, keeping unemployment near a half-century low. Weakening inflation suggests the Federal Reserve may be able to achieve what's known as a soft landing, which is taming inflation without prompting a recession. And continuing coverage of our heat wave taking over many parts of the country, as 60% of the U.S. population is under a heat or flood alert today, making for more than 200 million people. Some states in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic will see their hottest temperatures of the year. Severe thunderstorms are also forecast for parts of the Great Lakes and Ohio Valley through tomorrow morning.
And right now, severe weather continues to move through eastern Iowa, but thankfully the worst of the weather finally almost out of the area. Live view right now over in Coralville, several thousand visitors just experienced a pretty powerful Iowa thunderstorm. You can see the lightning flashes are still ongoing, the rain falling as well. We did cool off though, 77 the current temperature in Coralville. The northwest wind sustained at 20. We saw gusts approaching 50. That severe thunderstorm watch continues until midnight tonight for much of eastern Iowa, but as this line continues to progress eastward, this will slowly be allowed to expire, but we're still holding on to that threat here for the next couple of hours. On the radar and satellite view, western Iowa, northern Iowa is finally quieting down, but you can see that line of thunderstorms continues to blast eastward. You can really see this line right here blasting forward. That's the most powerful line of storms that rolled right through the Cedar Rapids metro area earlier this evening. Severe thunderstorm warning continues for far eastern Dubuque County. That until 10 o'clock tonight. 60-mile-per-hour winds a concern there. Also, some flash flooding being possibly reported there in far eastern portions of Dubuque County, south and east of the metro area. This severe thunderstorm warning continues as well in our area for southern and southeastern portions of Cedar County. That continues until 9:45. 70-mile-per-hour winds possible, but the worst of that storm is now moving right through the Quad City metro area. In fact, we had confirmed tornadoes in Jackson County earlier, but thankfully no tornadoes in our area. Another newer severe thunderstorm warning. This one continues with this line that continues to push southward out of Iowa County into northern Keokuk County and northwestern Washington County. Also warned for 60-mile-per-hour winds, and you can see the lightning, prolific lightning, is ongoing with these storms as well. Top wind gust as this line booked through eastern Iowa. Albion and Poweshiek County, just west of Tama County, 93 miles per hour. In eastern Iowa, the Cedar Rapids metro area was dead center of the worst of the weather. 90-mile-per-hour wind gust in Hiawatha and Marion, Midway, 82 miles per hour. Cedar Rapids at the airport on the south side of town measured 72. Loudon in Cedar County at 71. Here's a live view up in Waterloo. You experienced storms earlier. I don't think you were ever under a warning, though. The worst of it formed off to your south and east. Current temperature 75 degrees. You got some storms in the area. That east-northeast wind around 5 to 10 miles per hour. For tomorrow, the storm threat's over with. Behind the storms, we're starting to see some cooler temperatures make its way in the area. By cooler, I mean upper 80s, so not a huge change of that weather. On Predictor, we're watching those storms tonight moving off to our south and east. By tomorrow morning, we have a lot of sunshine in place that will continue throughout the afternoon. North winds around 5 to 10 miles per hour will bring in some lower humidity values as we go through tomorrow afternoon. 70 forecast. We're back in the mid to upper 80s for your Saturday and Sunday. Monday, not bad. Near seasonal levels, lower humidity as well, but the heat will return, of course. It is almost August, by the way. Temperatures back in the upper 80s for Wednesday and Thursday with another chance for storms on Thursday.
And you can download our free weather app to keep track of the weather as it rolls in. We can get you more local coverage than the app that's already pre-installed on your phone. Just head over to your favorite app store and type in Iowa's News Now WX.
An executive order making sweeping changes to the military justice system. I'm Willie James Inman in Washington with the details.
This is the
Meanwhile, President Biden is overhauling the way serious crimes are handled in the military. Willie James Inman has more details from Washington.
President Biden signed an executive order Friday reforming the military justice system. A key part of that reform focuses on how the military handles cases of sexual assault and other violent crimes. The order establishes rules for the newly created Offices of Special Trial Counsel. It also modernizes procedures to better protect victims and promote fairness, as well as reform the court-martial sentencing system. The changes were part of a bipartisan effort contained within the National Defense Authorization Act of 2022, and it comes after an independent review of sexual assault cases in the military. The executive order effectively removes prosecution decisions from the military chain of command to an independent set of military prosecutors for cases involving sexual assault, gender-based violence, domestic violence, murder, and other serious crimes. For CBS News, I'm Willie James Inman.
And a senior administration official called the changes the most significant transformation of the military justice system since 1950. And the Pentagon wants more military recruitees, but they're having a problem. The percent of Americans ages 19 to 25 is at 15-year low, and the Pentagon says less than a quarter of Americans 17 to 24 years old qualify for service. Poor test scores, criminal records, and physical and mental fitness issues are barriers. Some who would have served in the military are seeing higher wages working other places. About 10% of potential candidates say they would consider military service. Iowa's News Now. We'll be right back after the break.
On the next.
And we are checking back in with Weather First meteorologist Nick Stewart. First and foremost, you and Kason did a phenomenal job tracking this thing, but what a mess was that?
Yeah, it was
scary.
Quite a powerful storm that moved on through. It really intensified right on top of Cedar Rapids. So that's when the worst of it hit. It was northeast Cedar Rapids before it moved southeastward. We are still holding on to that severe thunderstorm watch that's currently in effect until midnight tonight. That is that severe weather threat that we're watching as this line continues to kind of move off to the east and southeast. So a lot of problems there. Here's a live look at the radar and satellite view. You can kind of make out the line is almost out of the area. We're making a lot of progress in getting things slowly out of here. Here's a live view over Cedar Rapids. Looking off to the south, you can see the prolific lightning that continues over towards Johnson County. Here is a view of the storms that moved into Cedar Rapids. You can see all the dust flying. This is from anchor Mitch Fick. Very intense thunderstorm there. Traffic moving along very slowly on I-380, but a very intense thunderstorm there. For tomorrow, the weather is out of here. We got mainly sunny skies. Warm as well. We do cool off a bit, but upper 80s for highs. Overall, not a bad day here in eastern Iowa. We're tracking more storms next week. Hopefully not as severe as that. We'll touch on it coming up in your full Weather First forecast in a few minutes.
And make sure you download our free weather app to keep track of the weather as it rolls in. We can get you more local coverage than the app that's already pre-installed on your phone. Just head over to your favorite app store and type in Iowa's News Now WX.
Diversity debate. I'm Angela Brown in Washington, D.C. States in the tech industry split over the after effects of ending affirmative action.
Experience what's really happening with the Iowa's News Now app.
Tech leaders now weighing in on the Supreme Court's ruling on affirmative action, saying it could pose diversity issues in the tech field. Angela Brown reports.
Some tech executives argue that the affirmative action ruling could set back progress in tech diversity. Last year, black employees accounted for roughly around 8% of the IT workforce in the U.S. Warnings making national headlines nationwide, with one senior economist calling the Supreme Court ruling bad timing. Robert Scott from the Information Technology Senior Management Forum, a group focused on developing black technology leaders, says colleges will have to adjust.
In the state of Michigan, they substitute zip codes for race. I'm going to recruit from certain zip codes, and if my zip codes happen to be Detroit zip codes, guess what I'm probably recruiting?
A new Pew Research poll found that half of Americans do not support colleges taking race into account for college admissions. But some tech executives say they have no plans to end diversity initiatives. Campus Reform says that could land those companies in court.
If those initiatives are focused on separating and classifying individuals based on their race, then those programs are going to run the exact same fate that the admission programs at Harvard and the University of North Carolina experienced.
Nearly 70 companies, including Google and Apple, signed an amicus brief last year urging the Supreme Court to keep affirmative action in place. But the High Court's ruling does not impact a company's ability to take diversity into account.
If employers have the intention of on having a diverse workforce, they will find ways to have a diverse workforce. If they've been looking for an excuse to not have to do that, then they just got their excuse.
But pressure is mounting. A group of Republican attorneys general issuing this letter right here to the nation's largest companies, warning them against race-based preferences in hiring. In Washington, D.C., I'm Angela Brown.
Beckman Catholic continues its legacy as one of the best baseball teams in the state, and now they're under the direction of a new head coach. Curtis Fader has the story of a Blazer legacy next in sports on Iowa's News Now.
And severe weather continues to move through eastern Iowa tonight. The worst of it finally almost out of the area. One lone severe thunderstorm warning continues there for southern Iowa County and northern Keokuk County. We'll track the severe weather threat and talk a little bit more about the impacts we had today. Your full the first forecast coming up after the break.
This is Iowa's News Now Sports with Owen Sebring.
Just miles from the Field of Dreams, Beckman baseball is one of the state's richest legacies at the high school level. Beckman alum and first-year head coach Ryan Mabe has managed to take the torch and continue that long tradition of success. Curtis Fader brings you his story in our Ed Thomas Coach of the Week.
If you build it, he will come. And Beckman baseball has built a winning tradition for decades right here in Dyersville, Iowa. And it's up to Ryan Mabe to continue that legacy and take the Blazers to state glory. For Beckman, their Field of Dreams is Jenk Field, named after their longtime head coach Tom Jenk, who led the Blazers to 17 state tournament appearances and 5 titles in his 42 years in command before battling brain cancer. Jenk was able to witness longtime assistant Fred Martin coach the Blazers to a state championship in 2017 before passing away. And since his death, Beckman never made it back to state, with Martin's mission being to find Jenk's successor to continue the legacy he helped create.
I had a good long talk with Tommy Jenk before he passed away, and he just wanted to make sure that that I found somebody that bleeds green and gold.
In comes Ryan Mabe, a former Beckman player who played under Jenk and Martin and was first-team All-State twice before graduating in 2008. In 2022, Martin was ready to give him the keys to the prestigious program.
The doors opened and God had a plan, and I don't know, never really envisioned, when I left Beckman that this would be something that I would come back to. When you think Tom Jenk, he thought he was going to be there forever.
When I asked him about it, there's a lot of things that had to come into play, making sure his job would work out for him and things like that. And I said, you can be my assistant for 1 year, learn everything that's going on here, and then if you want it, I'm going to hand it over to you if the school allows it.
In that year, he took on more responsibilities as the season progressed, and Beckman returned to state for the first time since Jenk's death. Upon taking the helm in 2023, while certain tactics for him may be different, Jenk's instilling of confidence through tough competition throughout the year will live on.
So that's a big thing I'm trying to carry on from what Jenk did from when I was a player. It's just, hey, we're going to play really good teams throughout the year, but it's going to prepare you, and I believe that we can go out there and win those games. I'm not just scheduling games just so we can play the teams, but I expect us to win.
And when they did. In his first season as head coach, Ryan Mabe and the Beckman Trailblazers won the program's 7th state title, tied for 8th most in the state of Iowa. While it's an incredible start to his coaching career, he cherishes the joy his players get to experience as state champions, just like he did years ago.
It's not about me, it's about the kids. I'm just glad that the kids got to experience what they did last week, and it was just cool for them to do that. That's something. Right now, they're being treated like celebrities. So, we got a couple parades, different things, and I'm just happy that they get to be treated this way.
Well, Beckman's 7 state titles are tied for the 8th most of any school in Iowa, and 20 all-time state appearances trails only a small handful of schools across the state. Well, Mitch Keller's had a pair of rocky outings since the All-Star break, a chance to bounce back against the Phillies in a battle for the pride of the Keystone State. The curveball's given him some issues recently, and in the 3rd inning, Kyle Schwarber tees off on a 2-run homer, putting Pittsburgh in an early hole, but largely that was Mitch's only major blemish of the night. Goes a solid 5 2/3 inning, gives up those 2 earned runs and 6 hits, strikes out 8. He officially surpasses his career high in strikeouts, 145 this season, besting his total of 138 last summer. Takes the L anyway, but a decent outing, hopefully a sign of the remainder of the season for the Pittsburgh All-Star. That game in Pittsburgh had a short rain delay. The Colonels were under a rain delay up in Wisconsin. Wild weather night across the country. The Colonels and Timber Rattlers are just about to go to the bottom of the ninth. Once this game resumes, tied at 3.
And right now, we're dealing with a lot of stormy skies off to our south of Cedar Rapids. Our Skycam has been putting on an incredible show. These are the storms right now over Johnson County down to Washington and Keokuk County. You may notice a lot of dark right here. This is a neighborhood around Cedar Rapids. All these homes are currently without power. It is very dark right outside of our studio. Current temperature is 72 degrees. The storms did bring some cooler temperatures. Southwest winds still a bit gusty, upward to 15 to 20 miles per hour. Here's the storm. I'm going to step out of the way here. This is the storm that had moved through Cedar Rapids. It's from anchor Mitch Fick. You can see the very intense wind, the dust flying with it as well. This was the very leading edge. Again, we had wind gusts approaching 90 to 100 miles per hour moving through Cedar Rapids. Here's a shelf cloud picture. This coming to me on Twitter. Big thank you to all the photos and reports we're getting. You can always send those to me at NStewCBS2 on Twitter. This is from the Lisbon area as that shelf cloud rolled on through. And here's video that I shot on the southeast or on the northeast side of Cedar Rapids, right outside our patio. You may have heard me react to this live on the air, but you can see a big old power flash there, all the leaves and things flying like that as well. Very intense thunderstorm moved through Cedar Rapids early this afternoon. For now, the bulk of the severe weather is slowly exiting the area. We do have one lone severe thunderstorm warning that continues, though. This is for southern Iowa County, northern Keokuk County, and northwestern Washington County. So the severe threat almost over. One more storm. A quick look at some of the severe weather reports we had so far today. 93 mile per hour gust in Albion, 90 in Hiawatha and Marion, pretty much where we're at right now. Midway at 82. Cedar Rapids, the airport, gusted to 72 miles per hour. So thankfully the storms are beginning to wind down. And they're hopefully going to start the cleanup process. But again, as we've kind of been saying, be mindful of what's around you. If you're walking around, be mindful what's above you too, hanging power lines and trees and things like that as well.
It's always better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was a scary day.
Yeah.
It definitely was, but we made it through.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you connect with us on all social media platforms and make sure you turn over to CBS 2. We'll be back with more news in 2 minutes. Have a great night.
More shopping? You should watch your spending, honey. I'm saving with Liberty
August 9th on CBS. Celebrating 70 years of serving you. This is Iowa's News Now at 10.
It's my joy to be back in the first in the nation primary caucus state here in Iowa.
Tonight on Iowa's News Now, we're hearing from 2024 Republican candidate and recapping one of the biggest political events for Iowa. We'll bring you details from the 2023 Lincoln Dinner in just a few minutes. But we start tonight at 10 here in the Weather Center with meteorologist Nick Stewart. It was just a busy night. I stepped outside for a couple of minutes. It cooled down a little bit, but you still see the lightning in the sky.
Yeah, southern portion of our area is still dealing with severe weather, strong storms, and a lot of lightning. You can definitely see it off in our southern skies. Here's a look right now at the radar and satellite view. The bulk of the severe weather almost out of the area. We got one lone severe thunderstorm warning that continues there. That is for southeastern portions of Iowa County, northeastern Keokuk, and northwestern portions of Washington. A live view for Iowa City where the rain continues tonight, frequent lightning as well. Current temperature in Iowa City, 76 degrees. We had some pretty strong wind gusts around 50 to 60 move on through. Here's a view what it looked like, though, in Cedar Rapids. We had gusts closer to 100 miles per hour. This from anchor Mitch Fick right on the Cedar River, the Cedar River in downtown Cedar Rapids. Very strong wind gusts there. This photo sent to me over on Twitter in Lisbon. You can see that big shelf cloud there coming on in. A big sign that strong winds were coming. And look on the bottom right side of your screen. Big power flash right outside of our studio. This is video actually shot right outside of our patio during our severe weather coverage. Top wind gust reports in eastern Iowa. Albion, 93 miles per hour. Hiawatha and Marion both at 90. Midway at 82. The Cedar Rapids Airport on the south side gusted 72 miles per hour. Now, real quick, your forecast for tomorrow. A lot calmer than today. A bit cooler as well. Temperatures back in the upper 80s, mainly sunny and warm. We're tracking a bit of a cool down early next week before the heat returns. More on that coming up in your full the first forecast in a few minutes.
And you can download our free weather app to keep track of the weather as it rolls in. We can get you more local coverage than the app that's already pre-installed on your phone. Just head over to your favorite app store and type in Iowa's News Now WX. And tonight, all 13 Republican presidential candidates are in Des Moines speaking at the 2023 Lincoln Dinner. It is one of the biggest political events of the year in Iowa. Each candidate was given 10 minutes to talk. Former Vice President Mike Pence saying he would impose a ban on transgenders in the military and praised the recent abortion law here in Iowa. Former President Trump touting his current success in the polls and continued to mention the 2020 election, saying it was, quote, rigged.
And we can end Biden's radical abortion agenda by doing just what you all did recently here in Iowa, and that is promoting pro-life laws at states across the country. And I believe the time has come for a minimum national standard of a 15-week ban at the federal level.
And despite 4 years of deranged opposition, we did even better the second time than we did the first time, getting more votes in 2020 than any sitting president in the history of the United States. They rigged the presidential election in 2020. We're not going to allow them to rig the presidential election of 2024. They used COVID to cheat.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis said the same success he brought to Florida he will bring to D.C. if elected, and that includes enforcing term limits for elected officials and stopping Congress from negligent borrowing and spending. And special counsel Jack Smith is adding new charges against former President Trump. 2 criminal investigations could possibly lead to state and federal charges. The former president and 2 staffers face charges of conspiracy to obstruct justice. The updated indictment accuses the former president of ordering the staffers to move classified documents so the FBI won't find them. One of those documents called for the Pentagon to attack Iran if need be. That's the same classified document Trump was caught on tape showing to biographers. In the recording, Trump is heard saying the document is top secret and he can't declassify it. The former president denies any wrongdoing. And as the race for the White House in 2024 ramps up, it seems as though Donald Trump leads among the other Republican candidates has grown despite the talks of the indictments. Willie James Inman reports from the White House.
Facing mounting legal troubles, former President Trump campaigned in Iowa on Friday.
They're weaponizing the FBI. And, you know, every time they do something, we go up in the polls.
Trump spoke the day after special counsel Jack Smith unveiled 3 additional criminal charges against him in the classified documents case. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina are also among the more than a dozen contenders speaking at a Republican Party dinner Friday night. Both have stayed away from direct attacks on the former president.
We're sending the military to the border. But also as commander-in-chief, I will stand toe to toe with China.
Meanwhile, Vice President Kamala Harris spent the day in Iowa discussing reproductive rights and the state legislature's efforts to enact a 6-week abortion ban.
Our daughter is in her 20s. She is going to have fewer constitutional rights than my mother-in-law.
And President Biden traveled to Maine Friday to tout his Bidenomics economic policies.
Inflation is now at the lowest point it's been in over 2 years.
The president criticized Republicans for not supporting his Inflation Reduction Act and joked they might decide to impeach him because inflation is coming down. Willie James Inman, CBS News, Washington.
And we're breaking down Vice President Kamala Harris's trip to Des Moines today. She spoke at Drake University as she's traveling to different states that have passed near total abortion bans. She says bans like the one Iowa lawmakers are pushing for, in her opinion, are playing politics with people's lives in a very real way.
As I travel the country, it becomes clear to me that so many people in these state legislatures don't even know how women's bodies work. That has really broken through. In that, most women will not even know they are pregnant at 6 weeks. Yeah. So it is in effect an outright ban.
The vice president says lawmakers need to address the nation's high rate of infant mortality, which is higher in the U.S. than any other advanced nation. And adding Florida Governor Ron DeSantis to the list as he met with small business leaders in Albia, Iowa today. DeSantis is fighting off a lot of negative headlines after reports donors were beginning to hold back funds. His campaign also got in trouble for a social media post featuring a Nazi swastika. He's come under fire for a new education policy in Florida teaching how skills learned by slaves benefited them after they were free. And Senator Tim Scott, the GOP's only black Republican senator, criticized Florida's new school curriculum regarding slavery during a campaign stop in Ankeny yesterday. Scott told a reporter, quote, "There is no silver lining to slavery," referencing a section in Florida school guidelines that suggests black slaves developed skills under the institution. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says there's not much to the flap.
She tried to demagogue something that had been done by a lot of black history scholars consistent with Florida law, saying we wanted strong standards, trying to say that because they had a provision saying that there were slaves that developed skills, even though they said that was in spite of slavery, not because of slavery, that somehow that was whitewashing it.
DeSantis was referencing Vice President Kamala Harris's response as he is now accusing his fellow Republican presidential candidate of echoing Harris. And several candidates were in eastern Iowa earlier today ahead of the Lincoln dinner, taking part in a presidential forum at Coe College here in Cedar Rapids. Right to Start hosted the forum focusing on entrepreneurship. Larry Elder, Asa Hutchinson, Perry Johnson, and Francis Suarez all took part. Afterwards, Suarez, who is the mayor of Miami, says the candidate who can attract new voters to the Republican Party is him.
I think I'm the only Hispanic candidate in the field. That's 20% of this country. The last two presidential elections have been decided by less than 100,000 votes. So I think attracting new voters to the party is incredibly important, whether they be young voters that we lost to President Biden by 26%, whether it be Hispanics.
Because you can fail.
A recent bipartisan survey of American voters conducted for the Right to Start revealed overwhelming bipartisan support for entrepreneurship, yet government policies do not often reflect that support.
Republicans claiming the country is operating on a two-tiered justice system, comparing investigations of former President Trump to Hunter Biden. I'm Janae Bowens in Washington with the details.
You are connected to Iowa's News Now at 10, connecting you to the news stories and events that affect you. Plus your accurate weather first forecast, on air, online, on every screen. We are Iowa's News Now.
Getting the right start to your day is important,
Trust Iowa's News Now this morning for all the news that happens overnight.
even with just a glance.
The right start to your day with John and Rebecca. Iowa's News Now this morning, every weekday morning on CBS 2.
Republicans are doubling down on their claims that the country is operating with a two-tiered justice system. Iowa's News Now correspondent Janae Bowens explains.
Critics are blasting the Justice Department over the handling of former President Donald Trump's classified documents case. On Thursday, it was announced Trump now faces more charges.
This is done for public consumption at a minimum. This is a real speaking indictment for public consumption.
Republicans accused the Justice Department of slow-walking investigations into President Biden and his son Hunter and weaponizing the government to take down Biden's main political opponent.
If you have a government that's been turned against the very people it's supposed to serve, turned against we the people, that's a problem.
The White House denies the allegations.
The president respects the Department of Justice, their independence. He has been very steadfast on making sure that the rule of law comes back in this administration.
The former president speaking out on his social media platform, Truth Social, saying in part, whatever happened to the crooked Joe Biden documents case, he had 20 times more boxes than I did. He goes on to say, almost nothing was done. Republicans who argue there's a two-tier justice system rigged against them are also calling out the length of the Hunter Biden investigation for potential violations of tax and money laundering laws. It started back in 2018.
And we are going to make sure that there's a single standard of justice in this country. You know, if Hunter Biden were a Republican, he probably would have been in jail 3 years ago.
The White House says when it comes to Hunter, they're letting the Justice Department handle it.
From a presidential perspective, is there any possibility that the president would end up pardoning his son?
No.
Justice Watch, a conservative oversight group, has filed a lawsuit against the Justice Department for records pertaining to Hunter Biden. Now, they say the Justice Department has obstructed an IRS investigation implicating President Joe Biden. In Washington, I'm Janae Bowens.
And tonight we officially have no severe thunderstorm warnings in effect anymore for eastern Iowa. We're almost in the clear. Once these storms depart Johnson and Washington counties, we'll give it the all clear. We are tracking a bit of a cooler temperature swing as we head towards the weekend and early next week before heat returns. We'll break it down coming up after the break.
Watch Iowa native Nick Weig only on Iowa's News Now.
Connect to Congress.
Your questions, your congressional leaders' responses.
Always choose Iowa's News Now.
CBS 2.
Iowa's News Now is counting down the top 70 athletes to play for the Hawkeyes.
Watch every Wednesday night at 10 for the next 5 athletes in the countdown.
Definitely an eventful day in eastern Iowa today, as here you can see ragbri riders making their way through the Amana colonies. Iowa's News Now Assistant News Director Mike Howell got this video on his own ride today. And as you can see, lots of riders making the stop there before heading into Coralville.
It's just humid compared to Arizona, but it's beautiful. Lots of green. It's lovely.
The 50th edition of the Ragbri Ride began last Sunday and will wrap up tomorrow in Davenport. Their journey began way back in Sioux City. Tonight, riders are making their way into the city of Coralville. The weather did not make things easy for the bikers this week as they had to beat the heat.
I've still seen people getting beers at the first town, but you know, for me, it's, you know, stopping every 20 or so miles, drinking water, like rehydration stuff, pickle juice, and just trying not to push too hard after, I don't know, 10:30, 11 a.m.
As temperatures reached near triple digits the past couple of days, Coralville is preparing for the riders to have plenty to eat and drink, as well as a place to shower. And continuing our coverage of the heat wave taking over many parts of the country, as 60% of the U.S. population is under a heat or flood alert today. That's about 200 million people. Some states in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic will see their hottest temperatures of the year. Severe thunderstorms are also forecast for parts of the Great Lakes and Ohio Valley through tomorrow morning. And the dreaded summer combination of heat and humidity is outdoing itself, and there's still more to endure. Michael George is showing us how some people are choosing to keep cool.
Millions of Americans are feeling the intense heat.
They're happy to be here, happy to be in the water, cooling down.
60% of the country's population is under a heat advisory or flood watcher warning, according to the National Weather Service.
Look at all the heat alerts across the eastern portion of the country. A large piece of real estate covered by this.
People are finding some shade.
I don't stay out of the shade much.
Some water.
Really hot, but the water helps.
Or perhaps a good book.
We are seeing quite a bit of an uptick for folks coming in.
It's so hot in Wisconsin, the cows need cooling.
We also use soakers where the cows stand and eat.
The East Coast isn't expecting relief until Sunday. New York City officials are urging residents to conserve energy by keeping that thermostat at 78 degrees and not to open the fire hydrants.
You can go to any fire department in the city and you can get spray caps that you can then place, and that reduces the amount of water that's coming out, but you can also then have some spray to keep cool.
Out west, these runners from Chandler High School in Arizona lace up before the sun rises.
With the heat, practicing after school when it's 110 degrees, you just can't get the quality we need to get ready for the races.
Buses are being used as cooling centers in Phoenix. The high temperature there may finally fall below 110 degrees for the first time in a month next week. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
And the lightning show continues off in the southwest of Cedar Rapids this evening. Prolific lightning with these thunderstorms, even though the severe weather threat is winding down tonight. Current temperature in Cedar Rapids down to 72 degrees. We did cool off a bit after the storms rolled on through. Got a lot of photos we've been coming on in this afternoon, so thank you for everybody for sending them in. Carrie snapped this photo near Manchester. That's a double rainbow and a lightning strike right through it. How cool is that? Some of the better pictures we've seen just because no damage. We We did have some damage, though, with the weather that moved on through. There's actually a video of the big old shelf cloud moving into Coralville this evening along the leading edge of the storms. We had that big shelf cloud. Wind gust around 50 to 60 miles per hour rolled on through the Coralville and Iowa City area. We did have some damage reported in the area. This from Marion at the Squaw Creek Mobile Home Park. This from Larissa. You can see some of the bottom of those mobile homes kind of blown out because of the very strong winds that rolled on through. And after the storms, if it was still daylight for you, this came from central Iowa. Laney snapped this fantastic photo of the sunset after the storms finally rolled on through the area. Here's a look right now at the radar and satellite view. The bulk of the severe weather well off to our east now in northern Illinois. We have a few straggler thunderstorms, though, in southern portions of our viewing area. Right now, some heavier rainfall and a lot of lightning falling in southern Johnson County, northern Washington County as well. Again, this is sub-severe. Could maybe see some small pea-sized hail, maybe some gusty winds as well. More thunderstorms ongoing in northern Keokuk County, but once again, we are below severe limits. The worst of the weather has finally exited our area tonight. Almost the all clear. Here are the top wind gusts with those storms that moved on through Albion and Marshall County, just west of Tama, 93 miles per hour. Hiawatha and Marion both gusted to 90 miles per hour, Midway at 82. At the Cedar Rapids Airport on the south side of town, 72 miles per hour, the top gust down that way. Forecast for tomorrow here in eastern Iowa, maybe some straggling cloud cover early. By the afternoon, we should break into a lot of sunshine. Temperatures back in the upper 80s. So we lose several degrees after the heat today, but still pretty warm for this time of year. Unpredicted, the storm's pretty much out of here tonight by about midnight. That's pretty much what we've been going with, and that's still holding true. By early tomorrow morning, we do expect a lot of clearing. By the afternoon, we'll see a few passing clouds here and there. I think a lot of sunshine, though. And notice tomorrow the wind, northerly. North winds around 5 to 10 miles per hour. That will be bringing in a bit of relief from the humidity tomorrow as we go throughout your day. Then on Sunday, we're watching more sunshine, maybe a few clouds, though, as we go throughout your afternoon. Last day of RAGBRAI in eastern Iowa, an eventful day today for them. Tomorrow, very quiet, mostly sunny, warm. We'll have north winds around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Temperatures back near 90. One of the cooler days for them so far this year after all the heat we've had, especially Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and today. 7-day forecast back in the mid to upper 80s this weekend, but we're dry, a bit less humid. Monday's probably the best day this week to do some work outside. Lower humidity, good hiking weather as well. Before we're back near 90 by the middle part of next week.
Beckman Catholic continues its legacy as one of the best baseball teams in the state, but now under the direction of a new head coach. Curtis Fader has a story of Ryan Mabe's Blazer legacy. That's next in sports on Iowa's News Now.
Watch Iowa's News Now Sports with Owen Sebring. This is Iowa's News Now Sports with Owen Sebring.
Just miles from the Field of Dreams, Beckman baseball is one of the state's richest legacies at the high school level. Beckman alum and first-year head coach Ryan Mabe has managed to take the torch and continue that long tradition of success. Curtis Fader brings you his story in our Ed Thomas Coach of the Week.
If you build it, he'll come. And Beckman baseball has built a winning tradition for decades right here in Dyersville, Iowa, and it's up to Ryan Mabe to continue that legacy and take the Blazers to state glory. For Beckman, their Field of Dreams is Jenk Field, named after their longtime head coach Tom Jenk, who led the Blazers to 17 state tournament appearances and 5 titles in his 42 years in command before battling brain cancer. Jenk was able to witness longtime assistant Fred Martin coach the Blazers to a state championship in 2017 before passing away. And since his death, Beckman never made it back to state, with Martin's mission being to find Jenk's successor to continue the legacy he helped create.
I had a good long talk with Tommy Jenk before he passed away, and he just wanted to make sure that that I found somebody that bleeds green and gold.
In comes Ryan Mabe, a former Beckman player who played under Jenk and Martin and was first-team All-State twice before graduating in 2008. In 2022, Martin was ready to give him the keys to the prestigious program.
The doors opened and God had a plan, and I don't know, never really envisioned, when I left Beckman that this would be something that I would come back to. When you think Tom Jenk, you thought he was going to be there forever.
When I asked him about it, there's a lot of things that had to come into play, making sure his job would work out for him and things like that. And I said, you can be my assistant for 1 year, learn everything that's going on here, and then if you want it, I'm going to hand it over to you if the school allows it.
In that year, he took on more responsibilities as the season progressed, and Beckman returned to state for the first time since Jenk's death. Upon taking the helm in 2023, while certain tactics for him may be different, Jenk's instilling of confidence through tough competition throughout the year will live on.
Well, that's a big thing I'm trying to carry on from what Jenk did from when I was a player. It's just, hey, like, we're going to play really good teams throughout the year, but it's going to prepare you, and I believe that we can go out there and win those games. I'm not just scheduling games just so we can play the teams, but I expect us to win.
And when they did, in his first season as head coach, Ryan Mabe and the Beckman Trailblazers won the program's 7th state title, tied for 8th most in the state of Iowa. While it's an incredible start to his coaching career, he cherishes the joy his players get to experience as state champions, just like he did years ago.
It's not about me, it's about the kids. I mean, I'm just glad that the kids got to experience what they did last week, and it was just cool to, for them to do that. That's something. Right now, they're being treated like celebrities. So, we got a couple parades, different things, and I'm just happy that they get to be treated this way.
Reporting in Dyersville, Iowa, I'm Curtis Fader, Iowa's News Now Sports.
Beckman's 7 state titles are tied for the 8th most of any school in Iowa, and 20 all-time state appearances trails only a small handful of schools across the state. Well, Mitch Keller's had a pair of rocky outings since the All-Star break. Chance to bounce back against the Phillies in a battle for the pride of the Keystone State. Curveball's been giving him some issues lately, and in the 3rd inning, Kyle Schwarber tees off on a 2-run homer, putting Pittsburgh in an early hole. Largely, that was Mitch's only major blemish of the night. Goes a solid 5 2/3 innings, gives up those 2 earned runs and 6 hits. Strikes out 8. He officially surpasses his career high in strikeouts, 145 this season, besting his total of 138 last summer. Takes the L anyway, but a decent outing. Hopefully a sign of the remainder of the season for the Pittsburgh All-Star. That game in Pittsburgh had a short rain delay. The Colonels were under a rain delay up in Wisconsin. Wild weather night across the country. The Colonels and Timber Rattlers get postponed right before the bottom of the 9th. We'll finish this game tomorrow at 6 before the regularly scheduled series finale. That's it for sports tonight. Nick's going to be right back with a final look at your weather.
Watch Weather First meteorologist Kason Frericks. Watch Iowa's News Now's John McMahon. Weekday mornings starting at 5 a.m. All screens, all the time. Always choose Iowa's News Now.
That's it for Iowa's News Now. Have a safe and wonderful night.